Hey everybody, welcome to the talk back for the Takeover. I am your humble host-ish, because we're kind of hostful here, Danny R Mendoza, and all the internet places, he, him. And I'm here with Eli, Sarah,
Hey there.
and Bastion. And these fine folks have been kind enough not just to invite me in alongside the other founders to hang out and run this really fun, interesting experiment, but also just to play it with me, right? And to play 5 systems in 5 weeks, which is not easy, right? It's fun, I hope, but is also a lot to ask of people. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you to Courtney for having joined us for the Queen, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But yeah, before I kick us off on the questions, I'll throw to you all for anything you might want to say here at the top.
Get in the Discord?
Get in the Discord?
Why are you not in the Discord?
Yeah, that's weird. You're this far into this series and you're not in the Discord. Like, honestly, it's kind of awkward. Like, could you be more cringe?
How many people are watching the talk back but not in the Discord?
If you're watching this when you're not in the Discord, sound off in the comments below.
Yeah. Tell us what it take to get you in the Discord. We're very
explain yourself. You
have crimes to answer for.
I love that.
Also, huge thank you to fucking Danny for literally taking this on. This is we're gonna go into it, but like, you made it very easy to do because you did literally all the legwork. So
thank you. I mean, that's the job, right? Like, that's the gig. I'm happy to do it. I'm grateful. Oh, before we keep going, I do want to throw to future Eli for a second, so the future Eli can share a surprise with everybody.
Hey everybody, future Eli here. Thanks, past Danny and past me and past everybody. Hi. I am here from the future to announce that we are running a charity stream, or we have been running charity streams. Last Friday, our very own Mags of Streaming Rainbow ran a game of Every Villain is a Loser, and in the process raised $590 for Raíces, which is an amazing charity that supports immigrant education and legal services. It's brilliant, and we cannot be more thrilled with being able to team up with them to support them. So Mags did that last Friday. Starting on Friday, Danny R Mendoza, you might know him. He has been running all of these Takeover episodes. Amazing. He will also be running a charity stream also in support of Raíces with an all POC table. Very excited to have this, both new and old players gracing our table here. We've got Danny as the GM or leader, whatever that's going to end up being. We've got our own David Robles, founder of Streaming Rainbow, coming back to be at the player seat. We have got Matt Pena returning once again. Walt from Abandon, a brilliant vampire in Eat the Reich. Listen, we've got he's too great, and we're so happy to have him back. We've got returning back from Inferno, Andy, our past pagan, returning back to our screen. We've got Merm, who was there in Mags's live stream last Friday, coming back with that amazing Samoan energy. We're very thrilled to have Merm back. And also Green, who is new to our screens, but not new to us. You might be seeing Green a little bit later in the year in one of our pre-recorded campaigns. So join us this Friday for an amazing charity stream. It's going to be on a little bit more on the more serious side. Stay tuned to all of our socials to learn more as it happens, and check it out to see what you can do to help out. At the very least, if you every time you donate, you register yourself for a raffle to win a pretty amazing prize, both of games and also Streaming Rainbow swag. So that's it. That's the big surprise. Back to me and Danny and Sarah and Bastion in the past. Surprise!
Insert surprise here.
Insert surprise here.
Insert the surprise. Yeah, no, and I'm super stoked. I'm grateful, as I've said to you all before. I'm grateful that I get to be a part of this community that you all have built. That's really beautiful, and do really interesting work here with really wonderful people such as yourselves, and beyond yourselves. You all have attracted a lot of other awesome people to this place that you've built. So thank you for that. Stoked for everything that we're going to get to do in the future. So is there anything else y'all wanted to go over, or do we dive into questions?
Let's
Good.
jump in.
Let's
All right.
Do
dive.
it.
So starting with the format, right? This is something that I've been excited about trying to experiment with for a while, because I always want to play more systems with cool people, right? It's really hard to
Well,
get
then why are
time.
you playing them with us?
Because you're the coolest people I know. That's the answer. And so the idea is to take a lot of interesting systems, play them with skilled, dedicated people, and unpack things through that. Have a good time together first and foremost. Ideally, while engaging with interesting ideas that make a lot of sense to engage with these systems. Also, in a format that is public facing, right? We're doing this as an actual play. Having something to show to the audience that is potentially of interest to them in the systems themselves and in the systems in conversation with each other. And also establishing some sort of creative through line, right? Something that unites these things in one way or another, that are sometimes more obvious, sometimes less obvious, and sometimes leaving a certain amount of that connection open for folks in the audience to put together for themselves, right? Maybe there's connective tissue there that none of us are aware of consciously, or weren't aware of coming in, that emerged throughout the course of play, that is just as valid as anything that I or any of the rest of us might have originally intended. That I want to take a moment to honor for people watching. Like, if you saw something that we don't talk about now, that doesn't make it less real. That's real. It's real for you. It's part of what you bring as an audience member to the experience of what we're doing here, right? So with all that said, 5 systems in 5 weeks, most of which most of you had never played before. How did it feel coming in, and what was it like? Like, did it live up to the expectations, I guess, that you had coming in? This is to the table. But I will pick someone if it's
Pick
helpful.
someone. Just pick. Yep.
Eli, you said it, so you're picked.
Great. I was trying to be nice and not talk first, but I will talk. I'm fine with that. I make it a habit to try not to have expectations when I go into things, because that makes it more interesting for me. The only expectation I had was super low, and because I knew it was going to be great, was it was going to be a great time. Having watched Danny in Olympus and in Be Gay Do Crimes, and playing with him on Inferno and all this stuff, I was like, well, Danny is a fucking rock star, so I can't wait to see how he GMs. Like, I was really interested in that. And I've been playing with Sarah and Bastion for so long now that I'm like, I know that they're awesome. So, and Courtney. So, like, it was the only unknown factor was Danny, and that wasn't that unknown a factor. So, I had a blast. It was so much fun. So yeah, so that was me. So now I'm gonna popcorn it, because that's how we work here now. I'm gonna send it over to Bastion.
Yeah. I had my whole set. I got like the world's loudest
Hey guys,
goddamn streaming setup.
Bastion's setup
Jesus
is
Christ.
haunted.
Yeah. Full of ghosts. No, I had high expectations coming into this, actually, because I had played with Danny, and I've had the pleasure of playing with Eli and Sarah as well, and I knew that it was going to be a stellar time. I am a collector of role-playing books. This is like 2% of my collection, along with some management books. So if you want to talk about engineering management, I've got 2 wolves here. But I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of role-playing books that I have gotten over the years, and I have played it's a couple dozen of them. Maybe it's the like classic issue you run into as a DM if you do like systems. A lot of DMs fall into a system that they really fall in love with, right? Happens all the time with D&D, with White Wolf, different systems or different overarching systems powered by the apocalypse, things like that, where people find the thing that they love to run. But a lot of DMs, they collect these systems, these ideas, especially in our current sort of golden age of independent literature and RPGs. And I realize now I can wax philosophical on this a lot. To sum it up, I have a lot of games. I have not gotten the chance to play or run a lot of games. And so getting the opportunity to play 5 separate games that I am very interested in playing with a group of people that I know are going to be stellar, I was absolutely excited to be doing this and to be able to exercise some RPG learning muscles that I haven't had to in a minute.
I love that. Well, hopefully we'll get to do more of that, right? Play a lot
Hopefully.
more systems moving forward. Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited to stretch my muscles a little bit, because I'm one of those people that tends to stick to one thing. So it was very refreshing. I didn't have a lot of anxiety. Well, I did have anxiety, but that was just because I was completely like overbooking myself. But um, as for the actual experience itself, I had no anxiety because it's going into something where I already know that I'm comfortable with all the people and I can rely on all the people involved. So it was just like, oh, okay, cool. It was easy to say yes to, and I'm glad I did. Expectations were low because I just was. Wait, no. Let me take that back. Expectations for like the system experience were low. I didn't know anything about most of them, and so I didn't. I was just like taking it as it comes. Expectations for the table were high and met, of course. So that's where I was.
Yeah, I also came in with high expectations for the table because I knew all of y'all were going to kill it. This is a great experiment to do with people who you trust and also who have a lot of experience with role playing games, even if not these specific ones, and also who you know are going to be fully committed to the ideas at hand. And I knew that I was walking in with all that in all of you. So yeah, I felt very safe and comfortable there. I actually, when I came up with the breakdown for this first iteration of this format, I had pretty much the exact layout of games in mind that we played right away. The one that we swapped out, swapping in Stewpot, that's the only difference. And realistically, it fit the same architecture very easily, right? So I already had put this together, and part of it for me had to do with these are games that in one way or another I found to be either definitive of a subgenre or founding of a subgenre of TTRPG or emblematic of what it does well, right? Again, that adjusted a little bit with Stu Puppet, I think, for because it's not technically a belonging outside of belonging game, but it ticked a lot of the same boxes. And from a story perspective, it did a lot of the same stuff. And I found it really interesting because it also used different kinds of interactions, right? You have a coin flip, you have a dice roll, you pull from cards, you know. We'll get more to that when we get to Stu Pop. But yeah, I was extremely excited to be able to do this. As you all know, but I'll share with the audience now. I'm already sitting on like 50,000 versions of this with different things in the same format that I want to maybe do in the future. Building on what we've learned here and approaching it in different ways. I want to continue to experiment with it, right? What are other ways to create thematic through lines? What are ways to potentially carry characters, versions of characters across systems? What are ways to dissect variances on a theme of system, et cetera, right? So that is what I came into the 5 systems in 5 weeks format thinking about. Question, like ancillary question, before I kick it to more folks in the table to see if you have stuff for me. Did you come in with one system in particular being the one you're most excited to play And now that we've done all of them, is that still the one you were most excited to play? And this time I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to give it to Sarah first, and then we'll go to Bastion and to Eli.
Okay. First, I would like to commend you for an excellent use of the word ancillary, which is something that rarely gets to be used in common parlance. So A+ on that. I think I distracted myself with that. Remind me what the question.
The question was,
what were you excited about?
Yeah, which one were you most excited about coming in, and is it still the one you were most excited about now that we've done it all?
Yeah, I was most excited about For the Queen because of all the pretty pictures. Yeah. I don't know. It was just really beautiful art, just from what I'd seen, and so I was like looking forward to seeing where all the symbolism on the art would take us. So that was my big thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just in retrospect, was For the Queen the one that you feel like you got the most out of, or is that not the framing you would give it? Like, I don't want to make it like you have to pick one if you're like, no, more of these. But
it's a hard question. It really is. But I think Stew Pot is where I land. Nice. I think that was probably the most fun.
Yeah. Stew Pot was awesome. I loved it.
I don't know how I'm forgetting the magical Feldskadar. There it is. I was
Feldskadar. So I texted, I messaged the three of you. The audience doesn't know, so I'm sharing. I was walking my dog and I hadn't brought my headphones with me, so I was just thinking for the whole time I was walking.
That sounds
without
awful.
Any distraction. I know, terrible to be locked in here with myself. But I wasn't just with myself. I was with all of you because I was replaying some of Stew Pot in my head while I walked. And all the Felskadar bits were genuinely cracking me up out loud while I was walking my dog. So thank you.
The musings of Feldskadar.
The afternoon walk of Feldskadar.
Exactly.
The afternoon hot girl walk.
Yeah. All right, so Bastion, same question.
Yeah, I was excited about all the systems. None in particular were really particularly stand out. I say that, and then I'm going to elaborate on how that is incorrect to say. But I had not heard of Yazebas, so there was a bit of like a shiny new thing to try out with that. So that one was exciting in that aspect. As a horror DM, I feel like 10 Candles has been a weird hole in my repertoire as one of the most popular games, especially when you look at games with like odd mechanics, like Dread and similar, that 10 Candles has just not been a game I've had an opportunity to play. So happy to have that under my belt. And then Stew Pot, I'm glad that we got in there because that's a game that I've wanted to play for a while and something that I think is a really cool sort of little concept, little game. I have these ideas in my brain that I'll never be able to put to life, but of like running simultaneous games with the same characters, right? Starting with maybe like the Quiet Year to figure out who the big bads are of the world, or Microscope to figure out the general timeline, and then Dialect to figure out the weird language in it, and Icarus to build out an actual like town or city, or maybe Street Magic, right? To like do these world building games, Cartographer's Tale to build out an actual map. Pulling out all the games that I'm listing. Yeah.
Wait, hold
on. Yep.
So I do that in part to emphasize, like, you say that it's never going to happen, but who knows, right?
Well, the problem is that it'd be so long, right? Because first it would be like several games to just do the world building together. Yeah. And then you'd play the actual campaign in the game, right, of whatever system makes sense. And then there'd be like post game stuff that you could do, like Stew Pot or Ink, if you wanted to do like your adventurers die and come back to life, or like things like that to like do a full arc across like several different games. But that's like a campaign just to make the campaign setting, and then a campaign that's the actual campaign, then a post campaign to reflect on the campaign itself. But
Yeah,
the dream
it
is
sounds
there.
like
I was
it sounds like we've
legitimately
got
signing me up.
programming.
That's what I'm
It sounds
saying.
like we've got programming until 2028. I think we're good.
I will say you and I think very much alike. Some of the stuff that I've been looking at even for this format has been playing with stuff like that. Like I might want to pitch like doing Quiet Year and stuff. If we ever have the opportunity to do something longer form, what you just said sounds very exciting to me. I think your instincts are spot on. I think it's a super cool thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
And to show people and to do publicly also, right? Like not just to do for an audience with an audience, because there's a lot to be gained from this sort of thing. And I don't know that everybody who even watches actual play content has had the opportunity to play these games or to look at these games as an engine for use in the context that you just described, that I think is really valuable and hopefully would be valuable for us to show. Right.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you just signed yourself up for a really long duet.
Fully, I like officially, yes. This is all of you watching at home and in the Discord.
In the Discord.
Yeah. This is me formally committing to yes, I will do that.
Yeah. But to bring it back to the actual original question, none of the games were particularly like higher than the others. They're all exciting for different reasons, except Hell of a Town, because I've been waiting for that Kickstarter and getting updates about it for like years. And I was like, that's going to be the game that brings the levity I need in my life. And then it turned out Stew Pot was that game. So here we are.
That's awesome. I mean, we had a light time with Hell of a Town.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Mostly, there's a little bit of terrifying stuff and some sad stuff in there, but
a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. Eli.
Much like everybody else, I was very excited to just play other games. It's something that I don't get to do enough, and I really enjoy trying out new things, and this was the perfect way to do it. Hell of a Town was probably what I was most looking forward to, because Who Framed Roger Rabbit formed my youth. Yeah. So it is a big part of my humor and sensibility. And who doesn't want to do that voice for 3 hours straight? You know,
you got to be Billy Mochaccino.
Hey. I gotta be Billy Mochaccino with, he talks like this. Who doesn't want it? So that was very fun. I really enjoyed that. It was also nice to see. I've been very impressed with Acheron being so immersed in Inferno. My biggest complaint about Inferno is that it's 5e. So I was so happy to do to get to experience Acheron's design mastery with something that isn't D&D. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. But much like everybody else, I want to play more Stew Pot. I want to play more with our characters. I want to figure out what the fuck is up with Zeke.
And will we ever know more about Felskadar? Right?
I want to know why. Yeah, I want to know if it's just branding or if it's real. If it's a real place of power.
Yeah. Is it in our world? Is it another plane? What is is it historical? Is it current? I want to know everything.
Yeah.
The mystery of Felskadar.
The mystery of Felskadar. I want to experience Zeke's poetry. It's really just about Zeke. I just want to know more about Zeke. Also, I want to see the developing relationship between the cats and the geese.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's important.
It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Very into that. No, I'd love to play Bot too. That's awesome. Yeah. I will say on that note, mentioning Acheron and talking about Stew Pot, Acheron's coming out with its own version of that kind of game. I don't know if you all saw, but Pumpkin Spice, if I'm remembering.
I did see that.
Pumpkin Spice?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like our Pumpkin Spice, it brings everything together, right? From Hell of a Town. They are they're kickstarting soon. I don't
I
remember if
think
it's
it's soon.
by now. Yeah, but they have the quick start out already now, and I'm checking it out. It might be something worth looking at down the line. But it is their like cozy game that they're working on. I don't think it's 5e, but I got to double check that. Yeah, I mean, on my side, I was super excited to play all of these games. Most of them I had never played on camera before, only played on camera before once. All of them I had played before, except when we brought in Stewpot. That was actually my first time playing Stewpot 2. I'd had it for a while. I have a physical copy. I make a point of that to say I'm more selective about my physical copies. I have a bunch of physical stuff, but I have like way more TTRPG material that's just PDFs. I try to focus because it's limited space, right? My physical purchases on stuff that I'm really excited about. So that is to say, like the fact I already had a copy of Stewpot, I was super stoked to be able to get into this. Evil Hat just does a lot of great work. I don't have it in the room with me, but I have an Evil Hat now. That I got because I got so excited about all the Evil Hat I'm playing. But yeah, I
There
really
it
loved all the
is.
experiences. There it is. That's exactly it. It's hanging in my bedroom over that away. But that's the exact hat. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm super stoked about everything that we were able to do with this. All the games have their special place for me. Uh, does anybody want to ask me anything before I move on to the order? Because if not, I'm just going to go into For the Queen.
How much time did it take for you to prep for 5 systems versus if we had just picked one?
I'm such a heavy prepper that I would have spent an inordinate amount of time prepping either, is my honest answer for me. And then what I do is I do heavy prep and then I show up and it's all gone, right? Like not in a bad way. I let it go. So
Mhm.
I can rely on the prep, but I can be fully in the moment, right? That's the dream. That's the intent. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we had I think we decided to do this maybe a week before we announced this, and maybe like 2 weeks before we started filming it. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a huge amount of time before then. I had thought about this because I'd been thinking about ever since I started doing actual plays, what kinds of things I would want to GM. And this anthology idea in general came up earlier. So I had that locked and loaded when we started talking about that. And as I mentioned a while ago, I was lucky that I already knew the games I wanted to put into this first one for these 5. So that wasn't bad. These are also relatively low prep games. So if this were, I don't know, a series of fantasy heartbreakers that I had to do a lot more specific work with, for the first time doing this format, maybe would have been rougher, and also rougher on y'all's side. Part of what I was looking at is I didn't want to inundate player side with too much homework because making 5 different sets of characters that need whole character sheets and a bunch of stats and a bunch of things, and especially if you all hadn't played the systems before, learning all of the rules and more complex systems felt like it was going to be too much for this first go. So for the Queen is technically it's GM-less, right? So I kind of hosted it, but we were all players at the table together, and it's built to pick up and play in a few minutes, right? You do exactly what we did. You read the cards out with the rules on them in front of everybody. You pick the Queen. You go in there. You're answering the questions till you hit the last card. For Yazibas, they have playbooks, right? So that helps a lot, and chapters. So I'm sure you can homebrew stuff for Yazibas, and I know a lot of third-party supplemental material exists for it that a bunch of interesting people put stuff together for over the past few years that it's been out. But the main Yazibas experience is a complex deep book that where you jump across a bunch of things and you gather stickers and things like that, and you're playing these pre-gens in a way that's also supposed to be very accessible. You're supposed to be able to pick it up in a few minutes. Hell of a Town advertises the same thing, that you can certainly with the pre-gens, but even with what you did, Bastion, making your own character, you're supposed to be able to do that pretty quickly. And the basic rules of it are pretty quick to follow. Stew Pot, same deal. And 10 Candles, you do most of the character creation at the table. So like for 10 Candles, I came up with the concept, and I will get into it more when we get into it, but I did a lot more in this case research than you have to do because I wanted to. But it was designed with the idea in mind that even if I didn't do that, it would have worked, right?
Yeah.
So people at home who want to play any of these, you can pick up any of these tonight,
Yeah.
tomorrow, anytime that you want. That's part of why we picked them, right? For this, particularly this first go. But yeah, no, I did a lot of prep at the top, and then what I did to make it manageable was I focused on what I was doing that week, right? And just 1 week at a time was taking care of that. And I already had the general idea that brought things together, and then I zeroed in, and it was okay. It wasn't in that sense for me, especially since I was familiar with all the games and Stupot was quick to pick up. It didn't feel particularly cumbersome. Like it felt like I was just prepping to play every week, which is hard for a lot of people at home, even for home games and stuff. Like weekly games, still a fair amount of work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There was a couple questions that are like about the whole experience that you've kind of answered already. Like Mags asked, shout out to Mags, what other fun systems did you have in mind when working on this takeover? Hey Mags, watch. He's gonna do all of them.
So many.
There's so many.
So many. I won't say all of what they are now because I mean, A, we don't have the time, and B, like we got to decide what we actually want to do. But yeah, like I was saying before, there's a thing where like we have a theme of a type of game, and then we do 5 of those, right? There's like, and when I say a type of game, I mean like a genre of game that uses different kinds of rule sets, or a genre of game in the sense of rule sets that uses different kinds of story genres. There's stuff where we might want to have characters carry through or have parallel versions of characters. And what does it mean to do that in different ways, right? We'll talk about it more when we get to Stupot too. But like one of the things that I love about Stupot conceptually is it's essentially anti D&D, right? Like it's a sequel feeling, like it's the aftermath of something like a D&D campaign, where these people who lived in this violent reality have to learn how to like clean a kitchen, like they have to live a life, day to day. There's something really relatable about that in grounded real world ways that can be darker, that can be lighter. That's really wonderful. There is an interest along the lines of what you were mentioning, Bastion, too, of like, what does it mean to take these kinds of characters through those different kinds of contexts? So there's a lot of stuff, but I'm like everybody at this table, and very much like what Bastion mentioned, own too many TTRPGs. I want to run through as many of them as possible, but probably starting with the most influential ones that we're also the most creatively excited about, right?
Yeah.
Because we do only have a limited amount of time. So like, for example, with For the Queen, that created an entire subgenre of game, right? I mean, the prompts that are written into For the Queen are beautiful. It's also a really, really interesting way to create a magic circle at the table. Same thing on the back end of R5 with 10 Candles, right? And I'm doing a little bit of game design on the side. I don't know if I'll ever publish it or not, but I also am playing games I want to learn stuff from, right? Like those 2 games, I'm playing with those mechanics in what I'm designing. So it's selfish too. Like I want to do more of that stuff, right? Yeah. That's that. I'm sorry, Mags, because that's such a non-specific answer in a way for how much I talked, because I didn't name a single system that time. But you're in the Discord already. Other people who want to know, get in the Discord. We'll tell you as soon as we are like ready to tell you. We'll tell you.
Yeah, Quiet Year, Icarus, Dialect.
Yeah, all of it.
They're here. I got this. I can get up and grab more behind me if we want. This bag of Dialect, by the way, is so nice.
I love Dialect.
Yeah.
The other question that's for all of us is from Julia. Hi, Julia. Is there a difference in how you guys create characters for one-shots like this versus full campaigns? Now, we're going to go into character creation because there's pre-gen and all that. This was we'll go into that for each game. But I know, like, in general, for one-shots for me, I go in with an idea of, like, who do I want to be today?
Mm-hmm.
Like what dress up do I want to play in? Like, what do I want to be today? So yeah, so that's definitely I put way more thought into full campaigns
Mhm.
than I do into one shots, because one shots are just putting on a funny mask for 3 hours. So, Sarah.
Yeah, I think for me the process is the same. It's just lengthened if I'm doing prep for a longer campaign. It's essentially the same. Taking a here's an interesting thing that I think is cool. Let's explore this. How can I explore it? Well, I'll use this character for this. And it's just a little more. It's just more of those stitched together if I'm doing a campaign.
Sure.
Yeah,
All right.
I have a specific 5-step process that I thought now. And you can get it in my new book.
In the Discord.
In the Discord. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book, actually. It's
Get in the Discord.
No, for one-shots and for longer campaigns, it's a very different character creation process for me, right? For one-shots, there's not really room for nuance in almost any one-shot. So my one-shot, when I go into a character creation process, I want, honestly, kind of like the 10 Candles creation process. Like, what is this person good at? What are they bad at? Like, what's their virtue? What's their flaw? Maybe, depending on the game, what's their secret? And this secret has to be a blunt secret that is obvious quickly, right? And then what's their gimmick? I don't usually give my long-term characters gimmicks, but for a one-shot, like, what's their gimmick? What's their stupid bit, their thing that is going to make them memorable past this one game, right? Because I'm not going to have a lot of time to build like a depth of character and be like, oh, like that arc that Becky went through is really meaningful, right? It's going to be more of a like, like he had a silly Irish accent and he bathed naked out front, right? Like what's the like the gimmick for your character?
Or his internal monologue is his external monologue.
Exactly, right?
Or he wrestled Heracles.
He wrestled
A different
Heracles.
one.
So
A different one shot.
That's my process going into a one shot. For a like campaign or a longer game, I'm thinking more about like how many gifts can I give to my DM when I'm building out my character, right? How many hooks can I put into this backstory without making my backstory 3 pages, right? Of like, okay, this person, like take for example my character in Dadass, right? You have a character who has amnesia in their history, was like attacked by one of the other characters in the game, has an active companion that they proposed to on screen, right? All of those in a horror game are like gold. They're like levers that can be used to like destroy me as a player and create a like interesting, emotionally deep experience. And when you have the time for that in something like a full Strahd game, then planting those seeds, you can really have chance to see them grow and then become horrible emotional trees that get chopped down later on in the story. And so that's my approach more when I'm doing a longer game, is like, okay, what's the tone of the game? What gifts can I give my DM at the outset that can help them drive or create a character driven narrative? And you just don't have time for that in a one shot.
Yeah, fully. I will say, when it's a one shot for me of a system that I have never played before and I may never get to play again. I mean, maybe I can, but like, I don't know, right? I have what's in front of me. I try to swing for whatever is genuinely most exciting for me. Like what we didn't end up playing this time around, but that we were going to play, I got to play once before, Wanderhome, and there's one playbook there called The Veteran. That's the only playbook that deals with violence, right? And you still no violence in the game, but it's like you can kill anybody in front of you, and if you do, then your character gets retired and you can never use them again. When I got to play that on camera for a charity thing, I was like, oh, that has to be what I play, right? Like I want to do that. I 100% need to know first, for me, where I was in that moment, what that's like. So I tend to approach even the longer stuff that I do a little bit like that, in the sense of like I try to drive my characters like I stole them. I swing into like big risks, right? And I like doing that in a way that is good for the table and that is collaborative and good for the GM when there are GMs at the table. But I do it, I think, even more, or it's like closer to the top of my brain, or the top of my priority list in a one shot, because again, like there's no reason to leave anything in the tank, right? Um, I also, very similar to what you said, Bastion, very much want to give gifts to the GM without overburdening. So like balancing that. Also to the rest of the table. Like a lot of the time I will walk in, and all of you know this because all of you have GM stuff that I've been in. And so you 100% have been on the receiving end of my millions of pitches and thoughts and things. I want to do that in a way that's helpful, that's not too much. Imperfect person trying to balance it. But also for the rest of the table. So legitimately what other people are excited to play. I'm the kind of person who I'm excited to play everything. Let me play every role. I want to play every class, everything. Like I want to try a million of them. So if I know what everybody else at the table is doing, or if we can have a conversation about that together and develop that in a meaningful way together, especially in longer form stuff, but to whatever degree it's feasible in a one shot, I try to do a version of this too. Just like a simpler version, like a quicker version. Really, I want to do that because I know, even selfishly, I know I'm going to have a better time at the table if everybody else is doing the thing that they're most excited about. And because I happen to be able to be excited about a bunch of shit, right? I try to lean into that, but at the same time, not make it fall into the obnoxious side it could fall into, where like I'm never making a decision and I'm never like, you know what I mean? Like I still want to make decisions that make it easier for other people to get to do that too, while leaving room for them. So yeah, I it just that's my approach to everything. It is simpler with less time that comes from a one shot in the prep and in the actual moment, but always driving it like we stole it, because why not, right? Nothing's promised. We're here in the moment. Let's do that, right?
Nothing's promised. Jesus Christ, Danny.
I know. I'm really fun at parties, everybody. I'm
Nothing's
he is.
promised. Drive your
He
character
takes-
like you stole it.
He literally spoilers for the finale of Kanto 4. Danny's last act of his character was to step off a ledge.
It was the next person taking over the serpent is just
starting in free
midair.
fall.
Yeah, it's in free fall.
Yeah. So I think now we move on to our first game for the Queen.
Yeah. So for the Queen, had any of you ever played a card and or prompt based system that didn't have any other mechanics than that
No.
before? What was that like for you to adjust to?
It gave me a real vibe of like high school theater club.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is fun, like in a fun way, not in a toxic teenager way. But like it reminded me of sitting in my girlfriend's dorm in college and just being so dramatic.
Love it.
That is in a toxic way, but yeah, it was a lot of it. Like it gives you so much freedom. Like I'm an absolute slut for improv. So just being able to be like, hey, a card. And I go, excellent. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So slut for improv. That's my new shirt. Welcome to Streaming Rainbow.
It's going to be in the Streaming Rainbow merch in the Discord. Get in the Discord. Tell us if you want the slut for improv shirt.
So another slut for improv, Sarah? Absolutely not. We aggressively aren't the same on that level. Yeah, Sarah,
No.
what do you think?
Yeah, I loved For the Queen's structure. I never felt like I had to reach for something that was hard to find, because the prompts just made everything so clear, and the story just developing as we went made it just, everything just flowed so easily in that game, like more easily I think than a lot of other games I've been in, just because of that format. So I was very pleased with it. Now,
Yeah. So as we're going into like our experiences of these games, I want to be clear up front. I suffer from depression, and my main depression symptom is anhedonia. And a big piece of that is in like I'm very critical on these things. I'm giving myself a lot of outs for like the level of criticism that I have, and I truly did like enjoy my experience with these games. That being said, For the Queen did not feel like a role playing game. Did not feel like I was role playing. It felt like there weren't very many inter-character interactions, and there's no forcing function in the game itself really for that. There were a couple of cards that were like reference other people in the retinue, but otherwise it felt a little bit like playing solitaire or a solo RPG, which is fine, but not the vibe that I want to bring to a table. And I feel like I would have to approach that game in a very different way to get the experience I want out of it, which is like encouraging longer descriptions, encouraging like actual role play moments and back and forth. And the fact that the game doesn't have mechanisms for that leads me to believe that that's not the way that it was intended to be enjoyed, or that the creators of it are trying to keep a flexibility for people that do just like tell a story together. I know we ended the game a little early, and maybe if it went longer, there would have been more of that, because it felt like we were sort of just getting into our characters' skins when we ended the game. And maybe if it went longer and there were more cards, there would have been more like cross character interaction. So I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite. I'm not sure I would play it again. For like actual play content, it's not something that I would reach for. Maybe if it's like a party, a beer and pretzels type of game, a thing that I'm just doing with friends, I could see that. But that was my experience of it. I will say we had the best fits out of all of our fits for that one. We really
Yeah,
nailed
huge
it.
kudos to
Episode one.
your makeup. My God, like people were like, people in the Discord got by getting the Discord. People in the Discord were like, Bastion. It was great.
Yeah, my partner killed it with the makeup.
Mm.
Very happy for her. And now I have a bunch of blue makeup. And I'm pre-ordering clown makeup, so I have foundations and several different colors on hand for future costumes.
I love that. That's really good. It was definitely a very good costume game. Shout out to Courtney also for fantastic costume game. That too. Yeah, I think I very much feel of a piece with what you just said, Bastion. I was thinking a lot about it. I'd only ever played For the Queen in person before, right? So the VTT, which we talked about a little bit in the immediate talk back in that episode, was suboptimal, right? For reasons that are probably not the fault of the makers of the game, right? It seems that it's a programming issue with Roll20 and Roll20's ability to manage cards. But you don't want it, you don't want the card to come up that early, right? And at the same time, you don't want, ideally, to have to put a thumb on the scale for when the card comes out, because it's not supposed to have a GM. We're all supposed to be GM-less at the table together, right? For an actual play, it would make some sense to force it lower. So I would say to anybody at home who wants to do it, if you're doing it using that Roll20 and it comes up too early, ignore it, throw it to the side, pull it out when it makes sense. But I will say that there are, if I were to do it as an actual play again, I would think even about possibly like setting a second camera up and then just pulling the cards in like physically, right? So you can also appreciate the aesthetics of those physical items on camera, because the physical items are really beautiful. And yeah, a couple other things. When I've played in person, there's a lot more crosstalk at the table, in between, like above table, out of embodiment, which I think is good for the game, right? Like I think that is actually intended in the game. I agree with you that at least as written, it does not encourage embodiment, right? there is no mechanism that takes you into a scene interaction. That would have to be something that we would have to layer on top of it. It would be a hack of For the Queen, or something that like includes Descended from the Queen mechanics, right, which is the term for those at home who may not know, for the subgenre based on For the Queen of game that has come out. There's a bunch of Descended from the Queen games that are well worth checking out. There's a link to doing some of them online, not on Roll20, that does let you put the card lower, not for the Queen, but for some of the Descended from the Queen ones. We can put that link in the Discord if you want. I think it's a good community experience. I think to make it a good experience for the audience takes a bit more work and thought. And I don't know that I've landed myself on what I would think would be the best way to do that beyond what I mentioned so far. Like, encourage more crosstalk above table for that above table part of the experience, but to try to unlock embodiment in it is a little tougher, because it suffers from, even though, ironically, even though it's GM-less, it suffers from that star problem that happens sometimes in TTRPGs, where it's all like GM to player, GM to player, GM to player, but not enough connection across the players in role play. It's that, but instead of GM, it's the cards, right? Card to person, card to person, card to person. So I think that's a little bit tough, but I do want to spotlight the art a second. So I'm going to grab that here. See, got that right there. This box is gorgeous. And we were talking at some point about the queens being so evocative themselves. We only got to show one of them before, so I wanted to just grab a couple of random ones.
Yeah,
Give us-
that's actually
give
going
us
to be
the one
our
that-
next.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the final four. Let me try to find those.
Yeah, our
We're
next video is going to be us going to the tier maker list, and we're going to be tier ranking each of the queens.
Yeah.
I love
the
that.
queen, the queen that almost ended Sarah and I's friendship.
Oh, you mean her? In this one right here?
Oh,
That queen right there.
yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
one.
one.
Final four right here. Let me see where the others are from the final four.
Sword queen.
Yeah.
Sword queen.
We have this one here.
Fallen angel
Mhm.
queen.
Yeah. And then this was the one that we went with, Dream Queen.
Yeah.
I dream.
Hey, and then
What a dream.
gift. The other one was the Cyberpunk, right? That was a fourth one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Let me find Cyberpunk here. There we go. Right there. Cyberpunk Queen. So now y'all know those were our final four. We did a full bracket process, and it was awesome. Yeah, I think it's a game that I would definitely recommend that people play. It's a game I'd love to play again with you all in person, whether we do it on camera or not, right? I think it's a fun thing. And actually, I think in the right kind of setting, it can be the kind of game that you can do to build out lore in an ongoing campaign. Whether that happens in a context like what we were talking about before on camera, or that happens maybe more likely as a part of a home campaign process. If you want to have more buy-in or explore other things, if there is a queen and a retinue out in the world and something that you want to explore about a lore in your game, you could pick up something like this and you could play it ancillary to your main campaign, whatever system you're in, and possibly flesh things out more in a way that gives the players at the table more agency in helping to build out that lore, takes some of the work off of the GM's shoulders, right? To make it more collaborative and less burnout prone, and just have a good time. But yeah, not what I would look for embodiment. If anybody's looking for embodiment at the table. Anything else anybody else wants to talk about, or questions that we received for the Queen specifically?
Just a big thank you to Courtney.
Yes.
Because she was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Heartbreaking, just gorgeous, incredibly creative. Everything to do with what the Queen did to her character was stunning and original, and, as I mentioned, heartbreaking. Would have loved to have seen more of where that went. Honestly, much as I want to play this again with y'all, I also want to know what happened to our characters because it cut off so early. I'm like, no, I want to know them more.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have other ways to dig into that with other systems. We could take that
Yeah.
idea and
We should have done like the 90s like credits epilogue that's like the satyr found their way back to the nightmare realm and reunited with their parents.
I love
Started
that.
an internship as a mechanic. Mechanics do internships, right? That's what they're called.
Of course. Yeah, it's internship, not an apprenticeship.
No.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. Cool. All right. So that is for the queen. So next we will move to Yazibas. Where I'd like to start us off with Yazibas is, especially since we only got to play one session, which was the session that was recommended as the introductory session for it. What did it feel like to pick up pre-gens? Pre-gens that have not just specific stats, but also specific characteristics to interpret and embody in different ways. And in some cases, particularly as it relates to who you played, Eli, and who you played, Sarah, a pre-existing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll jump in as the tertiary character here.
Mhm.
I definitely felt... I liked the pre-gen characters. I think they're absolutely full of flavor. The character sheets in the book are all like completely differently formatted to match the character. It made me think a lot of Invisible Sun for people who've had the chance to play that system. The character sheets are very complex and very specific to the classes for those characters. Like you have a summoner mage that's like a full summoning circle for their character sheet, and then you have the like rebel mage that's not part of a group, and you're literally just given a blank character sheet that you have to fill in yourself and like things like that. And it felt very evocative in that sense of like each character, just reading the character sheet helped you get a feel for how you're intended to play the characters, which was really nice. I think I suffered a little bit from not feeling super drawn into the narrative for my character because the narrative was not focused on my character, and that's okay. My like I got plenty of screen time and spotlight time in other episodes, but I think it feels like the stories in Yazibas are probably very specifically tuned to the characters that they call in. Like this requires X and Y, and I think if I were to play this for a home game or for an ongoing game, I'd probably try and do it like a West Marches style, like have a group that I like we pull from and try and match the number of people to the like number of characters in a given like scene or story, and I think that would feel a little better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will say it's self-consciously written as a system where you're meant to be able to do sort of that, if I understood you correctly, like switch up the characters you play. The system says there is no canon, right? Continuity. So the idea is people can play the same character repeatedly, but it's meant to be able to pick up and be played by different people all the time, even with the persistence in the physical book, right? Like, so people at home who may not know, you earn different things, stickers, unlock things, whatever. There's persistence across the use of it. So even if different people are playing at the table, if you're playing off of a book that's already been started by other folks, you're inheriting some of that, but then you're doing whatever you want with it because canon is not real, right? Everything is valid. Your version of, your version of Parish, your version of Parish, your version of Paris, my version of Parish are all true, right? And are all true in the same theoretical continuity, even when there's contradiction. That's how the game's designed. So I think you're right that's a good way to approach it.
But I will say, Sarah's rendition of Hey Kid absolutely gave me life. Sarah had some real knockout performances as part of this 5-shot. And like Hey Kid was absolutely a blast. Absolutely felt like I was playing with the little demon child from hell, and the like custom mechanic around Hey Kid was super fun to explore.
Yeah. And specific to this chapter, to your point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like So that's part of why it was so much fun, because it was geared toward that. And it's nice to have, I think that's something that's nice about pre-gens too, is that it's nice to have things that the thing we're about to play specifically rewards or is geared toward or is good at. Because then we can still make a lot of choices around that push against that, use it and push against it, which is a great gift to have that, I think. But Eli, Sarah.
I can jump in. I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit like that whole idea I've talked about with how I think about one shots of like what mask do I want to wear today, because I love that I could pick up any of these characters, because all of these characters can be a facet of my personality, which is great. Um, my only thing that like would consider a thorn, as it were. The book is beautiful. It's confusing. I am a kindergartner who doesn't understand puzzles. Like, cut out of the video are, and I didn't cut a lot of it out because I kind of wanted to show that it's a little confusing. The housework, the housekeeping, after the fact, I was like, what am I supposed to do? I
Yeah.
like, once it was pointed out, I was like, oh, that, okay, it's the clock. Okay, that makes sense. But there was nothing on that page for Parrish that was like, fill out the clock and that moves on. It's like, you kind of got to dumb it down. Like, I know it's sometimes, listen, sometimes things are twee that don't need to be twee. And like, I love it very much, and I'm all for like cutesy cottagecore, but like also make something that doesn't,
But also the
because if
clock could have been designed to look like you were going to fill it in, especially if you're
exactly
digitally, because we were doing it
exactly
digitally because we're all over the country, right? So like for us to have that persistent document, it's not like I could print it out over here and just fill it out and then we could reference it anytime like
yeah
as easily. So yeah, I agree with you. I think from a design perspective, those sheets could definitely
yeah
be user friendly.
yeah, like I get it, it's very cute, it's very aesthetic, but like also as a game designer, like you got to find a balance somewhere.
For sure.
So would would like to play it again, to play all the different characters, because hey, I like Hey Kid was on my list. I was like, but Sarah's gonna be. I was like, oh no, this is Sarah for sure, and it was my favorite thing of the whole time. Sarah, like Bastion said, Hey Kid Sarah, fuck. Turning that kid into a burrito was my favorite thing I've ever done in my life.
By the way, folks should know that even though this was Another Rainy Day is the name of the chapter, this was the chapter that they do classically recommend, right? In the text, hey, this is a good way to start off playing because it teaches some of the basic mechanics of the game for people who haven't played this kind of system before and all that. Um, I didn't actually select it until you all chose your characters, right? So the process that we did to open, I mean, that's what this is for, right? Like to let y'all in the back a little bit. Was I asked everybody who they wanted to play, and I let all of these fine folks know that I was going to pick which one we did based on that, right? So when Sarah picked Hey Kid, and then I ended up playing Gertrude actually because of what was left over. That one requires Hey Kid and Gertrude, right? The one that we picked requires Hey Kid and Gertrude. Parrish is a great mix into that for a variety of reasons, not least of which is a relationship with Hey Kid. And Amelia is a great mix with it too, because Amelia is a great foil for this kid's going to burn the house down, right? Like it's a very strong way to do that. So when you all made those choices, I picked my character last. I picked it to fit this, or picked her to fit this, and it was really nice. It was a really nice way to get to decide what we wanted to play. So just as a thing for people to know at home, even though I think classically the way that most people approach it, especially for home games, is like we're going to do this chapter, and then people pick from whoever makes sense in that chapter. I think just as valid to go the other way, right? Like, who do we want to play today? These folks. What makes sense with that? Okay, this is good. And both things can happen real fast. Anyway, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah. I think I loved the pre-gens. I don't remember much about most of them because once I saw Hey Kid, I was just like, bam, locked in. and it was. I agree that it was perhaps a little more twee than was good for it, but I think what I really most loved about it was the chapter format. Just the way that it provided a set of handrails and a cast to like a suggested cast for the scene and all that. It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of easy for me. Like, I am not comfortable with the spotlight. No, I am not. But having the spotlight on me as Hey Kid was easy. Just because of the nature of the character and the way that it was just made it easy to play. It made it easy to feel like I could take big steps, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I think that there's a lot to be said for when you receive pre-gens in general. There's a freedom to the restriction, right?
Mm.
You know this is what you're going to be doing. It can be easier to carry a burden like a lot of Spotlight in that way because you have a lot of guidance, and then you still have all of the freedom of your creativity and your mind, right? To explore that with, which I think is really wonderful. These two games we've talked about so far, by the way, also in my anecdotal experience, very friendly toward players who are new to TTRPGs, right? And especially if you're playing at home or in a community setting where some of the people at the table are not as comfortable with embodiment, right? The thing that we said we didn't like for actual play for the Queen might work in their favor. And even if they're not as comfortable with embodiment, but they're willing to take it on, a pre-gen helps with that because they don't have the tyranny of the blank page, right? So they're looking at this and like, well, Hey Kid is incredibly rambunctious and deeply high energy in a way that leads them to literally explode if that isn't managed. That's very playable, right? That is very clearly playable, even if you don't have a lot of experience with it. Obviously, for folks like you all who have a lot more experience with it, all the more so. But I think that's a cool thing that unites some of these games too. Is I'd argue that all of them are pretty friendly to new players from a mechanical perspective. The only thing I would say that complicates that a little bit is what I was mentioning about the tyranny of the blank page. Like with this system, it uses architecturally a type of a set of game mechanics that are very, very light or very light touch. So that's I think a double-edged sword, right? Because if you are very confident and comfortable with playing different kinds of games already, you can slide into that a little bit more easily. If you're not, if you've had experience only, let's say with like D&D or something, right? Maybe these are too few restrictions in some ways outside of the pre-gens, right? Like maybe it gets a little harder to know that like you're doing the right thing, whatever the right thing is, right? Or playing it the right way. And I would caution people looking at it at home, like think about that when you're approaching it too, right? It becomes this weird thing where like if people have never played a TTRPG, maybe it's actually kind of easier for them. If they played some TTRPGs, but they tend to be a lot crunchier, this might be harder in the way that a lot of story games, quote unquote, are harder for folks moving from that side of the spectrum of it, right? And maybe you want to approach that with that in mind. But definitely an enjoyable, interesting sort of game that it does reward consistent play. So if anybody wants to pick this up, I would encourage playing for like longer periods of time. Like even if you don't do it in a row, right? But have it be a well you go back to, because this is a game that strikes me as likely. I haven't played that much of it, but likely richer the more you put into it, right? And you literally unlock stuff and whatever. Although the game does tell you like if you want to play stuff that's locked, just do what you want to do. It's your game, right? Like, and I think that's an interesting thing to talk about at the table more broadly, right? Is like how much do you want to play a system as written versus how much do you want to cater it to the needs of your table, or like we were talking about with for the Queen, to the needs of the medium, right? Um, this time around, for better and for worse, I would argue, with my own like negative talk in my head that I'm combating with, I I tried to stick as much as I could structurally to the games as written, right? Took a little bit more swings, not really mechanically, but with 10 Candles in a way we'll get into. Got into a little bit more complicated stuff within what was designed for Hell of a Town, but tried to keep it to what it was. I think if I ever did for the Queen again, and maybe the same sort of thing in a different way would apply to Yazeba's on camera, I would be more comfortable tailoring it more fully to actual play context and to whatever works for the table at hand, right? Because ultimately, your experience at the table is what matters to me the most. You three, who I'm talking to most directly right now,
Yeah,
and
you heard that, Mags from Streaming Rainbow and two of our other audience members.
Hey,
but no, it's
screw you.
both. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just yeah, no. None of only us matter. Only us.
But I think I think the two things relate, right? Like
Yeah.
it has to be good for us at the table for it to be good to the audience, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd mess with that a little bit more. I did want to say before we move on from Yazeba's, last thing is it is a GM-ish game, right? Like you could play it with no GM at all. It's a concierge is the parlance of this game, right? It's the nomenclature used for that for the GM there. We had me be the concierge and Gertrude. I've played this where somebody concierges and doesn't play a character, and I think that's also valid. I think I personally would always want to play a character alongside concierging, right? This, unlike Stewpot, doesn't have it built in as much that you would share concierge duties, but it does give you the option to share some concierge duties depending on what feels good at the table. So might experiment with that in the future as well. Anything else on this before we go to Hell of a Town? Beautiful.
Hell of a Town.
Hell of a Town. Acheron Games. We love Acheron Games here.
We do.
And Streaming Rainbow. Yeah. I have been, like you were mentioning, I have been dying to play Hell of a Town. It's not Acheron's fault at all, but I still don't have my physical stuff. I'll hopefully have it soon because of all the trade shenanigans, right? But I got to playtest it when it was first kickstarting, and I just really loved it. It was the first time I played a TTRPG where you use cards instead of like a dice-based system. I found that really compelling, but honestly, it was also just so exciting to use Looney in particular. Although I will say that was me not thinking expansively enough because Sarah, the way that you used what was it, Feely, the way that you used Feely in a way that was similar to how I thought of Looney, so perfectly throughout, really speaks to the same thing that I'm trying to drill down on, which is this is a cartoon game. This is a game about cartoon world, cartoon logic.
Mm-hmm.
I love that it trusts us enough at the table to be like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you want to do some crazy shit that is not even slightly accounted for in what's written? Pull a Looney, you know? Like, I love that. Trust at the table from a design perspective. I find the more I play these games, the more I am interested in games that trust us at the table to know what we're doing and to figure things out, right? And that don't include a lot of like solutions in search of a problem. Like I find myself less and less interested in mechanics that are like, oh, this is going to keep a player from being overpowered, because I think that's asking the wrong question, right? But that's a conversation unto itself. I could circle back to, how did you all feel about the cartooniness of Hell of a Town? And I'll give it first here to the person who I just mentioned using Feely so well, Sarah.
Hell of a Town was a hell of a lot of fun. And that's where I'm done. No,
Full stop.
that's it. That's all I got to say. It was a lot of fun using the cards to manufacture these this randomness. It was something that I had not encountered before, and I was somewhat skeptical about it. But it turned out to be really easy. It's just flowed really well. I loved being Pump Queen Spice. I loved trying to find new ways to use what her advantages were with the Feely, which is just, I don't want to say Feely.
Tell us your feelies about it.
No, I'm all in my
Give me-
Feelies.
Give me a handy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, excuse me. I believe we settled on pull a handy.
Yeah, pull it.
Yeah, gotta pull a hand.
Yeah.
Worse.
No, it was such rambunctious fun the whole way through, never knowing what wild thing was going to happen next. Just like what inanimate object was going to talk to us next. You know, the locks made me
I was saying,
delighted.
you decided that though. When you started flirting with the lock, one of my favorite moments remembering that is like, yeah, Danny, what is the name of the lock? That was great. That was perfect because I don't get to very often get caught off guard on like, fuck, I gotta come up with something. Because I tend to be pretty quick on the draw when it comes to the improv. But in that moment, I was so lost in the sauce with what you were doing that when I needed to come up with a lock name, I was like, fuck, what is a lock name? Like, oh yeah, that was
John.
fun.
John Locke.
John Locke. Yes,
And this is my military uncle, Heed Martin.
exactly.
Hey.
Legitimately, I really did think of Lockheed Martin in my head. You said that. Yeah, I think we ended up with Steel Lockley and like Iron Lockley or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Tin
Pretty good.
Lockley.
Not bad. Tin Lockley, exactly.
The whole Lockley family.
Yeah, they became very important. See, this is emergent. This is playing to find out. This is emergent gameplay. Yeah, we really did. Honestly, I had no big plans for them, but then we had the lock, and then it turned out the other one was the kid of the first lock, well, the second lock, but you know what I mean. And then there's a whole lock clan, and then there's a bunch of lock lore that came out. It was great.
Really locked in.
Really locked.
No, but it's so much fun to play in a game where you know that whatever jumps you make, whatever big steps you take, it's going to resolve in a fun way that works with the game. It's great.
Yeah. All right. So Billy Mochaccino, Eli, how did you feel?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was it's good to know that not only can I not roll dice, I can also not pull cards. I have terrible luck on everything. But
or a great sense of story. A great sense of story in your dice card pulling and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. Dramatic. My every tool I use is dramatic as fuck. But it was really it's another one where all the pre-gens were so fun that I want to play them all, and then I want to start making with what Bastion did. I want to start making my own. Like it's such a cool. Again, I have Who Framed Roger Rabbit memorized, so it's like, which character from that do I want to play? So that was really interesting, and exploring that world and all the different places in it. And yeah, again, just being ridiculous, like, and part of this is for you. I don't know how I didn't read them. I didn't go into it. I don't know how much of it was you, but like the metronome, like turning
I made the whole thing up. I made the entire module.
Perfect. Yeah. It's so good. Like turning jazz into music, like it. You don't know this about me, but like I was a trained opera singer who loves jazz. So like
That's
real music and getting turned into Muzak is like actually my nightmare. And then and getting to take back the girl from Ipanema was really very very nice for me. Like there's history there. Um but yeah, so I love that it's a system that it's a game that rewards you for being crazy.
Yeah.
Like throwing my son a French press who's a mime. Like okay.
Speaking of emergent gameplay, it wasn't your son at first, then it was your son, then your son was a mime. Was the
Well,
order
because
that
French,
revealed
yeah, it
itself.
just
Yeah,
he
exactly.
was flying through the air, shifting and changing animations and becoming
And
a mime.
and then it
Yeah.
was mechanically relevant that he was a mime is the thing. And this
Yeah,
system let us do that. And I
yeah,
love it. Right?
it's
Like I
so
think that's
good.
yeah,
And a spotlight for Bastion.
yeah. Mhm.
Every fucking time you monologued,
Yes.
there it was so funny and it was so groan worthy, and like, but it was so fun to act within it as a reaction. Like there was one of the favorite bits I got to do was you monologuing in the casino and me ordering a drink. If you go back and watch it, I'm like, and I pick up a glass and I start drinking because I'm waiting for Polt to finish.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to like interact with. So no, that is for sure a game. I love weird off kilter games like Welcome to Gillyton. Like
Mhm.
that is so, I love that shit. I love doing dark and slightly twisted shit in the funniest, most comedic ways possible.
Mhm.
So I 100% I want to run this game with my friends. I want to run this in so many different ways forever. It's such a cool. And who doesn't like, some people don't want to invest in a million math rocks as I look for my hundreds of dice in a bag. But like, how many people have their deck of cards, like they just have a deck of cards in their junk drawer? So
It's
it's
very
like,
accessible. It's
yeah,
extremely accessible, and I think that's really cool too. I was mentioning before a little bit of game design I'm doing. I'm thinking a lot about that too. Like accessibility matters a lot, right? In
yes,
terms of ease of picking up a game, like how quickly you can get started on doing something, and then also what you were just saying, like, do you need a bunch of specialized stuff, or can most people do it with what they have at home, right? And
yeah,
one of the things I like about PBTA games is you need D6s. People are more likely to have D6s than most of we use for D&D, right?
yeah.
Same thing with the deck of cards. I also think, and I'm going to go to you now, Bastion, because I cannot wait to talk about Polt and the building of it and everything that you did with it. I also think this, as a contrast to what we talked about with the first one before the Queen, is very good for online play, like in front of an audience, because it's very good for embodiment. It's very freeing from an embodiment perspective, and I'm eager to do more of it on camera and with awesome people like you all, and maybe campaign play. I've only ever played one-offs with this. Like, what does it mean to carry over? I think that's really cool to get into. But Bastion, talk to us about what it was like to build Polt our Geist, and then what you liked about playing him.
Yeah. Holt was my favorite character that I got the opportunity to play. I had an absolute blast. I did come to him as I come to many of my character ideas for one shots, which is I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, Polt R Geist, that's the name. And then I went back to sleep. And I woke up literally to like I had an untitled like Google Docs document that I'd opened on my phone. It's like Polt space R dot space Geist. It's like, okay, that's the name. Let's work it out from there.
That's awesome.
That's
What
amazing.
does it mean? What was I dreaming?
What could this mean? And character creation was very easy. Very, very easy. The hardest part of character creation is that the pre-gens are not base characters. They do not have the same abilities and ability sets. Most base characters start with 2 abilities because you also get like an ability from whatever part of town you come from, and then you get a base ability. And they also start with ink, and as we discussed in the game, there's actually 2 types of raw ink depending on whether you're using the basic quick start characters or the like actual ink in terms of getting tuned out. They simplify the tune out rules for one shots, I imagine, so that you can experience being tuned out as one of the core mechanics. So I think I really enjoyed Polt. Making him was dead easy, and I feel like there's a lot to explore in the system itself. I think the one character option that I found frustrating was not related to Polt. It was the fact that we kept calling Billy Mochaccino a percolator when he is very clearly a mocha pot.
Hey, I'm not going to argue with the Italian game designers who named it a percolator in his character art.
He's a mocha pot.
I mean, I get it, but
so being Cuban, to me, he's a cafetera, right? That's in my brain. He's a cafetera,
which I think is a mocha pot.
I do think so. I do think you're right.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a mocha pot.
But I think they liked the pun of percolator, right?
Mm.
On the sheet is where I'm guessing. I don't want to speak for them, right?
Acheron loves its puns. Let me tell you what.
Loves its puns. Yeah. And you know what? I got when I mentioned that I got to do the play testing for this. I got to do it with the person who was doing the translations from Italian to English. Very, very punny person in my limited experience playing with them. So I believe it.
Can you talk to them about this issue with calling Billy Mochaccino a percolator? Because you see, the way a percolator works is it runs boiled water through the grounds multiple times. You wind up with a weaker, more bitter coffee. Whereas a mocha pot, you get something closer to espresso because it uses steam to push the water up into the coffee. It's hotter when it hits the grounds, and it doesn't run through them a bunch of times.
You're 100% right that is how that functions. I will write to the community person over there coming out.
And also, he's Italian, and you know where you find mocha pots? Europe.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very
also, bank those bonks, guys.
Bank those bonks.
Right. Acheron Games, you're welcome for us giving you the best possible third-party supplemental content you could ever want. The Bonk Bank. The Bonk Bank. Which is now also a part of the Discord. So if you get in the Discord...
Yeah, you can join the Bonk Bank.
The Streaming Rainbow Bonk Bank.
Tell us about your Bonk Bank.
Exactly. It is a nighttime. It's always night in that channel.
It's always night in the Bonk Bank.
In the Bonk Bank. Yeah.
Cover of darkness.
It's the after hours part of the
classic nighttime rainbow.
Exactly, the classic. Everybody's seen a nighttime rainbow. Yeah, I really loved this game. I had such a blast. I was real nervous, honestly, coming in, having written the module for it. I cribbed some stuff from like specific elements that I reskinned and reoriented.
No association.
Yeah, from some of their existing stuff, right? But I made it sufficiently different, right? That I was just taking like mechanical inspiration from some things. And I really wanted to tailor it to what we talked about as much as I could in our session 0, talking about what you all were interested in the system and interested in tonally and in terms of genre, right? And there wasn't really anything it's a new game, right? That's been published so far that would cater to that. And I like to anyway tweak these things to cater as specifically to the table as I can on the story side. So I was really happy that played out well. I was really glad we got to play hell of a poker in the middle of it because I'd never used that framework, right, from the system. And I was really happy with how it turned out. Honestly, I had a lot of fun also playing Don Cod. Don Cod was ridiculous and terrifying. Mm-hmm. But it felt so fun. I had no idea I was going to have that much fun playing Don Cod till I started, and I was like, "Oh, I could be Don Cod all day. Like this is this is fun."
I find you amusing.
It's exactly it.
Polt being a biblically accurate pump queen spice was absolutely horrific.
with the
I hated
undulating
that.
and
I
the
hated
faces
that
all
so
over.
much.
Oh, it was so good. It was
and
so
then
good.
and then undulating his body like a toddler to make
Yeah,
them do that. That
so
was more
perfect.
upsetting than me feeding coffee grounds into like fish flakes.
Even though that was, yeah. I love that so much. You all took a character who mechanically deeply outclassed your characters. Like Don Cod was like in terms of the way that this mechanically gets rated, one of the sort of like epic level folks, right? Like 23, 25 challenge. And you all handled it in both the role play and creativity you brought to it, like what we were just talking about, and mechanically so well. There's that feature that you were able to use, Sarah, that was able to turn everybody up to 11, basically, and have everybody
Mhm.
pulling 3 cards, and then you all were very good at getting. I think they were great successes. The 10+ level success
Yeah.
you were able to get a few times, so that you were able to keep rolling with advantage. Basically, it turned into this loop where like, oh, this real scary baddie you're kicking the snot out of in this poker game, but still, um, it was great. It was such a lovely thing to experience. I was so happy with how that went. Watching all of you come together with the mechanics and the story stuff so nicely. It was great. Highly recommend it to anybody at home. Any parting words about that before we go to Stewpot?
Yeah, get in the Discord.
Yeah,
Always
Get in the bonk bank.
yeah,
get in the bonk bank.
Get in the
Bonka
bonk
bonka.
bank.
yeah.
Bonka bonka.
So
The tr-
Stewpot, from my perspective, was like what I was nervous about was I hadn't played it before, right?
yeah.
And when we switched to it, which I think was an awesome idea, I talked to you all about like what do we want to play, and Bastion you recommended first, I think Stewpot. Sarah, you mentioned, and Eli, I think you mentioned that at least Sarah had played it before. Eli, I don't think you'd played it before, right?
Mm-mm.
And I had been, as I mentioned earlier tonight, dying to play for a while. So I dug in there and I fell in love even before we started playing it. And then the play experience for me was deeply charming and surprising. I already know some things I'd want to do on my end of it a little bit differently, but I'll circle back to that. Who hasn't started recently? Um, Eli, why don't you talk to us first about Stupa?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Stewpot. It was so easy to come up with a character. It was really the only game that I pre-thought of a character. You know what I mean? Like everything else was, well, Billy was like, but that was a pre-gen.
Right.
So it was the only game that I really had to build a character beforehand, and we didn't even have to do it beforehand. Um, but it was so simple, so really, really easy to entry level jump in and start playing. Anybody who has played D&D can find a character
Yeah.
there. So it's like, so you could like, that's kind of the cool thing is that like, again, get in the Discord, but I asked in the Discord, it's like, what would your character do if they retired? Like imagine your character that you had to abandon in one of your home games or your current home game. Like what if they actually got to retire? Which again, a lot of people were like, oh, my person's never retired. They're dying. They're gonna die. And it's like, but what if they don't have to? But what if they don't have to? What if they
What if
make
they
a
became
tavern?
fulfilled and happy and self-actualized?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
so here's the interesting thing I find about that, or one of the interesting things I find about that, that makes me really eager to interrogate more story stuff with Stewpot. Um, it's very easy the way that a lot of games that we all play and that we've all grown up with and that are very popular in popular media, and even stories that are very popular in popular media, to misunderstand, from in my view, the nature of heroism.
Yeah.
Heroism's tragic. Heroism is inherently tragic. I don't want anyone I know or love in real life to ever have to be a hero for anything, right? It's a curse. And historically, when you go back to ancient storytelling, that is what heroic referred to, right? Like that is what the nature of it was, because violence has consequences that are multivarious and that are lasting, right? So that this is a story that lets us take the baseline assumption we have of violence with characters like that across D&D and other games like that, and decontextualize that and make it formally about that transition. Because for those who haven't played it before, you pick a character, like a class that your character was prior to retirement, and then you get 3 features of that, and then you pick their job in town now, and you only, with the first game that you typically play, the first one that we played, you say something, it's really quick, little piece of it you play, you earn your first thing from town that way, right? And then as you go, you start to drop your heroic stuff and bring in more of your town stuff, right? Which I think is powerful and really
Yeah.
cool, you know?
And then
Yeah.
the game is over once you lose all the hero stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
the end.
It's beautiful. And yeah, it's something that it snuck up on me a little bit, which I don't know why. I don't know why, because I was prepared for it to be emotional, but like as somebody who just turned 40 and is a burnt out millennial, like it's like I thinking about retirement is something that I have been like, I'm never going to get to retire.
Yeah.
It's never going to, like, I'm talking to my mother who's still working in her in her late 60s, and she's like, I don't know when I'm going to retire. And it's like, if she's thinking about that and the world as it is today, I'm going to work till I'm dead because I won't be able to survive otherwise. So I felt a very strong feeling to that. So there's that emotional side of it, but like I want to keep, this was the game that like every game I want to play again, even for the Queen, I want to play all these games again. Stew Pot, I specifically want to play our game more.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
I want to play those people more. I want to see our cool treehouse in. Like, I don't tend to, I'm saying this as I'm on camera with 2 people I flirted with in a game, but I don't tend to have romantic crushes in games on the whole. Shout out to Lantern Cove for my unrequited weird thing. And Bastion like broke my heart over and over again in a podcast. It was great.
It was requited. Hold on. Let's.
I don't know. We never got there.
Unfulfilled, maybe. Unfulfilled.
Yeah, where's the talk back for Lantern Cove?
Yeah.
We're all traumatized. It was popped by a wrench. If you know, you know. So there's that. But then like, yeah, getting to a point where I was like, my character with Danny's character had this lovely little, like, imagine living a life of so much danger and like treachery and always watching your back and never being able to trust anybody, and getting to a point where you're like, I can take off my mask and I can think about having a crush on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. So it's
Well,
like, yes.
I think that's why the game ends when you put down all of your war stuff, right? Like when you're done with everything from your violent life, because this is a game about stories about a time of transition, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful, in a way that I agree. I also want to come back and explore. And I will say, and this is not, this is a contrast to what we mentioned about Yazibas, but it's not like a dunk on Yazibas. It's a great thing about what Evil Hat's done with Stewpot, is that where some of the stuff that I think Yazibas reached for in a very like deliberate way, let's call it, right? Like written out way that can come across as a little bit twee. I feel like a lot of it really emerged organically for me in Stewpot, right? The I want to come back and create more in our persistent world without having to have like stickers and a thing and whatever that I put it in. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't have that in Stewpot, and I still really want to go back to the Poised Pig. You know, like I really want to see what's up with those cats and those geese. I want to get to know the area more. I want to see what I want us to like, and there is a little bit of it, right? Because mechanically there is a sheet where we're like earning stuff. We're like now our place is a little bit more comfortable and stuff. So there's not none of it. It's helpful to have some of it, but it's less. And maybe
Yeah.
I reacted nicely in a way I didn't expect to it being less.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, shout out to Bastion's accent work and us absolutely missing the beat and being like poised. Poised. No, poised. Poised.
Just imagining that conversation in character.
Yeah.
I love it. So yeah, Bastion, talk to us about your character and about your experience.
Yeah, Connell. So Connell came about because I went on a detective game kick recently. I finally played The Root Trees Are Dead, which is an incredible game. 10 out of 10 recommend. Went and replayed Oberdin after that. And on that kick, when we were getting into Stewpot, I had just finished like a how many hour? It was like a long, like multi-hour binge session. I'm gonna get the actual numbers for us here. Yeah, full like 10-hour binge session of the Seance at Blake Manor.
Nice.
Which is a really excellent detective game that takes place in like 1950s Ireland. And so I had just spent like 10 hours immersed in this like Irish fantasy world all about like mysticism, and like had like like Irish druids, and things like that. And I was like, oh man, like that was just what my head was full of. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. That feels great. I want to pull from Irish, like Irish folklore, like the Tuatha and things like that have always been a fascination of mine since I played Scion a long time ago, and they are one of the like DLC for them.
Nice.
Scion, the role-playing game, DLC was set in jest, but for those who don't know, that's the joke. It was a supplement. And so I was like, I'm going to do this Irish character. I tend to be really hesitant to do accents. I don't feel like I'm particularly good at them. And I feel like if you're bad at an accent, it's a really bad look. I feel like I really struggled with Alethea's accent in the game that I played with David.
Mythos.
Mythos of War. Thank you.
Mhm.
I really struggled with Alethea's accent in Mythos of War. And I felt like every time I slipped up or made a mistake was a disrespect to the character and a disrespect to like Spaniards and Spanish people around me and the Hispanic person running the game there across the table from me. And so I tend to be really hesitant. Irish accent, though, is more of a white person accent, and I am a quarter Irish. My grandfather came over on one of the boats, and so I felt more comfortable diving into that accent, and I had just immersed myself in several versions of that accent for 10 hours. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I watched a bunch of accent videos and accent tag videos to like help get it like more like nailed in and just ran with it. That was a really long monologue about this particular accent and my overall opinion on accents. Thanks for going on that ride with me. There was a lot of thought that went into Connell's accent.
I will say, I think it's great that you went into that much detail about that, because here's the thing. I think there's a lot of pressure for people in an actual play environment and even at home, arguably, right? In a post-critical role world and whatever, to do accent work, to do voices, right? And there's a lot of mileage that varies there, you know? I'm personally of the opinion that obviously with good taste and everything else and best intentions, especially in a home game, people should do what they feel is right for their table. Do you know what I mean? Like I tend to trust that people are not going to be coming at it from like a gross place, you know?
Mhm.
At least the people who I choose to play with don't. Um, in an actual play setting, I think it's really important that you thought it through this much, right? I think it's really important that you put this effort in because we are representing this publicly. That having been said, I think it's entirely okay to make mistakes. We're humans. We deserve grace, right?
Yeah.
So even like what you were mentioning with the Alethea thing, um, you put in the effort and you put in the respect. For one person's opinion, I think that's what matters, right?
Mhm.
For whatever that's worth. And I loved your accent here, and we got the poised pig out of it because we
You
got
got the poised pig. Yeah. And in an actual play context, right, there's things that are missed, right? I did hours of research on Alethea, on her accent, on Basque, on the language, on like all of that to try and be respectful there. But no one at the screen knows that. On the screen, I'm a white guy doing a Spaniard accent, which is like kind of white. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I think,
a Spaniard female. Yeah, there's
yeah,
Yeah.
which, but you were great.
yeah.
Look, I was worried
Uh,
with the same thing when we were doing Yazibas and I was playing Gertrude, right? Because I don't have that lived experience, you know.
mhm,
So I don't want to put it on as a costume. I want to
right.
honor what is resonant. And for me with Gertrude, what unlocked there was like, oh, what she was going through emotionally. There were a lot of ways in for me to that, right? And being a teenager, so I leaned into that. I feel like that's what I saw in that's what I see in every character that you bring, right? That we've played together, no matter what side of the table you're on. Sarah of Felskadar. Uh,
Yes.
can you talk to us about the great gift that is Ezekiel or Zeke and the equally great gift of Felskadar that you brought to
The
the table?
equally great gift.
Zequally!
Zequel.
It was right there. Danny, do
It
better.
was.
I love it.
You'll have to get it better in the sequel.
Hey,
The Zekening,
the Zeke.
Electric
Yeah,
Boogaloo.
Yeah.
it's kind of embarrassing because I didn't plan Ezekiel at all. I slapped the name on, um, decided which bits of character to choose from in the selected um, options and ran with it. Um, and yeah, it was I don't think I was fully locked in that day, and so I found a bit and I stuck with the bit, and I was lucky that the bit was good.
It was very,
Really,
for whatever it's worth. Like it was very, very good. And it was a good counterweight to a lot of what the rest of us were doing at the table. I decided, and I picked the name of my person in the moment. You can see me in the video if anybody hasn't seen it yet. See me being like, his name is Diego Stormlight. Like I just
Done.
play a character. Yeah, no, I mean, I knew I had to do it, and I thought a little bit, but like, I was playing a Satadin, you know, like I decided to go in that kind of direction because I was like, yeah, PTSD. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I can relate with my real world, like clinical anxiety and other shit, to like, I know what it's like to have gone through some fucked up shit and then trying to live like a cozy life afterwards, to whatever extent reality allows for that. Um, I'm going to explore that here with my sad boy, right? Um, and I think it's really important that we had a character that was such an enigmatic bit factory. I say that very specifically that way because I really do want to know more about Ezekiel
Yep.
because it feels like what is it I'm looking for, like an iceberg situation, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that speaks to the talent that you bring to the table, Sarah, because even in a situation where you've said that you felt like you were less locked in, you came up with, you know, some of the elements on the spot. You came up with a bit and stuck with it. It still felt like there was so much more that we could get and that we could explore moving forward, right? And then we
yeah.
can
I
just
think I think I lay that um, and I appreciate the appreciation, but I lay a lot of the responsibility of that at the feet of the game, because it is such a like, it's not about what the characters can do, it's about the characters themselves, and so it brings a focus into the depth of these characters. That's where you're looking, right? That's where your focus is. What lies underneath the surface of this character, and how will that present itself in our game that we're playing. um, so I think that there's a lot to be said for the game itself, in that respect.
I love that. I think that's very true. And I can say the main thing that I want to do differently next time is actually adhering more to the way the game is written than what we did. So because we switched to Stewpot fairly last minute, I didn't want to put more work on these fine folks. This was fully my decision. Um, on these fine folks by asking them to do some of the GMing work. But the way that Stewpot is written, when you're sitting around the table, it's GM full rather than GM less, right? So like I would pick a mini game for us to do, and then somebody else at the table picks the next one, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't want to have to ask you all to do that in like 24 to 48 hours or whatever it ended up being by the time we
Mhm.
settled on it. So I just picked the mini games we were going to go through, and we went through most, but not all, of the ones I set up. I knew that I set up too many of them, and I wanted to have maneuverability. So I think that part worked out okay. But next time we play, and I hope there is concretely a next time we specifically in this call play these characters, I'm super excited for you all to be picking mini games on your side, right? And for us to be playing it in that more traditional way. I think it'll sing even more than it did already.
Mhm.
And yeah, I liked being my sad boy. The one other thing I want to highlight about it that I made as a decision that I'd love to hear what you all thought about, especially you, Bastion, is I made an anti-meta choice, right? I decided to have us not be an optimized party in our background, right? So I had us have two healers, right? This is not a meta like oriented game.
What do you mean?
What I mean,
Anti-meta choice.
well, because what I mean is like I didn't worry about party composition. Like I party composition in our prior lives was reasonably worked out, right? Because we had a rogue, we had a wizard. I mean, we're magic heavy and not very tanky, but like tanky, more tanky on my side, right? Like had a paladin, and had a druid, right? But then when we went to our jobs, I thought about being a chef, which is part of why I actually played up the fact that he was actually terrible at cooking multiple times. That was just a bit I kept doing to myself, right? Because I almost made him a chef, but I decided no, maybe we don't have everything that we need. You know, because I was looking at it, I was like, oh, chef would be a good way to fill. Maybe we're a little redundant. Maybe we have two healers, right?
Mhm.
Maybe those healers bring different things, and maybe there's something interesting to examine about that. And it's something I'm careful about because I don't want to step on anybody's toes, right? So like in a lot of situations and with people who I didn't necessarily hadn't cultivated as much trust with as I have with you all, I would have been more hesitant to do it. How did it feel, if it registered at all, to have that choice made?
There's no such thing as meta in Stewpot. And the next time we play, we're playing an all healers game. Like, what do you mean? I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, it doesn't matter. It's like,
Yeah.
if you came out of For the Queen, you're like, I think I made some anti-meta choices. Like, I really didn't optimize for like Queen survival in that game, and I think that
Yeah.
I think it's a silly premise, and I reject it outright.
Got it.
But even past that, like, I think there's a piece of storytelling there, right? Of like,
Exactly.
we're not a group of like experts picked by the king specifically for this quest that
Yeah.
like is the perfect group to go and do this thing. Like, we're a group of retirees just trying to figure out what we can or want to do. We're friends, we're hanging out. Like, the tavern's secondary. We're not like, how are we going to turn a profit on this dead tree? We're like, how are we going to live out our days in peace with the people that we care about, right? And like, sure, we're both healers. We're healers in very different ways through very different mechanisms, and that's like meaningful to show. And so, like, that redundancy, the fact that we did like both land in the same like job, like that, there's so many things that you can build story on there. Like, is the area we're in need of multiple healers, right? Is there value there, or is there value in us being able to just take it easy? Maybe Connell and Diego have like some pretty awful things that happened to them that we didn't get to explore, that means that they need more rest than like other people in their retirement. Or like, I don't know, I think that it creates interesting story options. I think it creates more options than it would potentially remove if we had a chef. And I think there being redundancy makes it feel more like we're a group of friends that are trying to retire together, and less like we're like trying to build the best tavern to put the other taverns out of business.
I'm really glad it landed with you like that, because that was everything you articulated was my intent, like full stop. You just plucked it out of my brain. So thank you. No, I'm glad you feel that way and that it came across that way. How about for the rest of y'all? How did y'all feel?
I was just going to say, one of these healers has really strong feelings about not hurting trees, and the answer might surprise you.
That's very true. That's very true.
Also,
you discover as you go, right? Because you would have never thought. You would have never.
Yeah.
I would have never thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the only anti-meta shit that's allowed in Stewpot is being against Facebook. So, like, we're good. Like,
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
the other tavern we're trying to put out of business.
Facebook. It's meta.
They're the ones raising the forest and just like they want to set up a data. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I thought, like, I agree. It's much more like, why would it be optimized? Like, why would we? It's like, I don't make friends with, like, I only make friends with people that are optimal for survival.
For my fridge. You're the mixture of the 5 people that you hang out with most, so make sure they're optimized.
Yeah.
It has their specialty.
Yeah.
Everybody's got
Yeah, because in theory, like, technically there's 3 healers, because Indra is an apothecary. Indra makes things for you guys to use for healing, and I think we all can agree that Zeke heals our souls with his poetry of Felskadar.
And the bong of Felskadar.
And the bong of Felskadar, yes. Me and Zeke get together and we get some real good hotboxing going on. It's awesome.
Best fantasy hotboxing I've ever experienced at a TTRPG table. Just gotta say, by the way, it was very, very good.
But yeah, no, I think that's so realistic, and it's so. I mean, just think about your actual life, like. Are you friends with a bunch of people who all have very strategically different jobs and skill sets? No.
Well, and you are for sure going to be friends with people who you have things in common with, right?
Exactly.
So that's part of it too. But I part of why I wanted to highlight it for folks watching this is it is, as when playing this as a game that is essentially in a anti-D&D stance in a lot of ways, I think it's something worth allowing and maybe embracing, right? Like exactly what y'all have been saying, like, who cares about that party composition stuff? It should be whatever feels right to these characters and their bonds, and wherever that lands, and that's the beautiful, interesting thing that you get to play with, right? So I think that's super cool. Any final things about Stewpot before we go to the light and heartwarming tale of 10 candles?
No, I think for anybody, because 10 Candles just came out last week, spoilers, because I know some people have been in a place to not handle watching 10 Candles at the moment. So this is the point to pause and maybe come back another time if you don't want spoilers. That being said, Danny, fuck you. Fuck you.
What did I do? I'm a little guy. I'm just hanging out,
little
guy.
I won't talk about the twist, but I put it in chat. The moment it hit what the twist was, I was enraged. I was so angry and impressed.
I'm really glad because as we talked about off camera during the after part for us, right? Which for everybody at home, do aftercare. Even when you play at home, if you could do a little bit of aftercare, like certainly in an actual play context, always do that. But even at home, like decompress a little bit, especially if you're playing a game like 10 Candles. From a safety perspective, even if you're playing it with a bunch of people with high trust at the table, which is how you should play it in my view, um, take the time. Take the time to decompress thoughtfully, right? But yeah, when we were talking about that, I loved all of y'all's reactions to all that stuff, and I think I remember sharing with y'all that I was worried it would be like a little bit of a hat on a hat, you know, or like too clever by half, and I was glad that it didn't end up feeling like that, and a lot of credit for that is owed to all of you because even though this is a GM'd game, right? Um, it was how you all engaged with everything that I brought to the table, which is more in the way of specific decisions that I made ahead of time that I could pivot with, right? But as possibilities than I normally bring to 10 Candles. So I was a little nervous about that too. And y'all made it easy. Y'all made it great. So thank you for that.
I'm curious because so Sarah and I have not only played 10 Candles, but we've played with you as them. So Bastion, as our resident team fuck 'em up horror guy, what did you think? How was your experience with 10 Candles?
It was interesting. It was a different type of horror than I expected, and I know that 10 Candles can be used to portray a variety of horrors. I came in expecting a more direct threat, right? With the idea of like them, right? And immediately I'm like, them is like werewolves or vampires or specters in the night or demons or whatever. And uh, it felt like them was a very like ephemeral concept
Mhm.
in this rendition. It felt like a very heady version of the game, and not necessarily reflective of like a typical playthrough.
Yes. I can say from a design perspective, 100%. That was part of the big swing that I took with it was a lot more conceptual. There was a literal them that existed, but a lot less direct. Most of my player experiences of it, like player side experiences, have been what you described. It's like we're playing the thing, or we're playing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's uh, shit directly hunting you down and finding a way to kill you. That is the classic experience of it. So you're right.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good time and a really interesting system. I think the mechanic around the candles as the resource, but also the timer was interesting. And I also thought it was a great mechanism to be like, to shorten the game time as we got tired.
Yeah.
Um, Not actually, but I think I would play it again. I think I would be interested in definitely like a classic playthrough to round out my experience of it. Um, yeah, that's my opinion on 10 Candles after having done this. I enjoyed it. I'd play it again.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, the classic version is very fun. I just got real excited about this Venetian idea. And then and by the way, depending on the decisions that y'all made, there was fully room. I mean, I don't think this kind of spoiler matters because I might want to replay this scenario again, but probably not in actual play, right? Like just in life. But like I had already mentioned to y'all, there was a whole Madame Tussauds thing that like y'all didn't get to. There's also all sorts of opportunities. Like those plague doctors were absolutely going to be manifestations of them if we ended up going in a direction where they showed up more. They just didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like so part of it was the discovery at the table, but yeah, I'm super stoked, whether it be with me on the GM side, with me at the table with you or whatever, or even if you want to run it, because I mean, being horror aficionado yourself, right? Like I think it'd be great for you to. I'd
Let's do
love to
it.
be at your table, right? Also,
Yeah.
for this. It's but you deserve to be able to play it as a player too, right? Like experiencing the classic version. Um, yeah, I'm super down. Like all of that sounds awesome. And the classic version is a lot of fun and just as emotionally powerful, right? and requires a lot less prep. I can tell you as a person who prepped this one, right? Like you can do it a lot simpler, folks, right? You can pick a map from somewhere online and just be like, it's happening there, not prepare anything else, and then like go, and you're still fine. Um, what about y'all? If I'm recalling correctly, Eli and Sarah, the only other time you played was when we played for Con Zero, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how did this compare to that? How did it change your relationship to the game? What would you want from it moving forward?
Sarah.
Yeah, last time that we played, I my character kind of took a back seat, just and that was kind of because there was just more people, so less time to go around. Um, and I didn't get to burn any of my cards, and this time I got to burn all of my cards and had a blast. It was funny because I went through like Googling like roles of women in 1700s Venice. And I was like, no, no, no. Oh, artist. I can do that. That'll be fun. Um,
Love that.
so I based everything off of that choice largely. Just the obsession with taking the liminal and making it into a expression of art, and just the overwhelming nature of what was happening around her becoming that inspiration to create was a lot of fun to explore. So that's
She was fantastic, and what a gift it
Mhm.
was when she would like turn around and want to paint the wave, right?
mhm.
And stuff like that. Like it was really, really beautiful choices. And I got to go and I got to fit in my dunking on the sphere because of the choices that she made.
I hate the sphere
It was
so
I
much.
saw that photo of the sphere that was just a big eyeball, and I was like, no, this is an eldritch horror. It's
Yeah.
like it exists in real life. I
I've
have
been close. I've been close to it recently. Like I had to go for my day job to a trade show in Las Vegas, and stayed in Paris,
Mhm.
which is a nightmare. Like
Yeah.
there's just a fake Eiffel Tower through the middle of a casino, and I'm like,
It's the
this is disgusting.
skybox in Paris that's weird to me.
Yeah.
It's so gross, and like in Caesar's Palace, and like walking through all these, and I'm just like there's like in Caesar's Palace, there's like there's a all you can eat buffet called Bacchanalia, and I was like, no, bad,
Terrible.
not the vibe.
Ooh. Yeah.
Boo.
So
But yeah,
just like I think how there's something really powerful at a time of such upheaval and distress in the real world for us to play a game like Stew Pot that is about community and turning away from violence and finding togetherness and peace. Part of what I was hoping for with this high concept take on 10 Candles was an interrogation of the very real horrors that we face in the multiple overlapping apocalypses that we currently are living through. So
Well, I don't like that.
I know, I'm so sorry. The decision to start during one of the plague years in Venice hundreds of years ago was related to that. Having the twist deal with, since we already gave spoiler, warning before, having the biggest twist, let's say, deal with the revelation of the Venetian in Las Vegas, right? And this artificial mockery of actual Venice was a part of that. Having a lot of the imagery, the apocalyptic imagery, having characters seemingly possibly moving through time, possibly dealing with a collapse of time, whatever it ends up actually being to each person, right? Including all the flooding. I mean, I live in Miami, right? Like sea level rise and the hyper awareness I have around Venice already flooding so much. When I was doing research for this, the amount of photos that I have in folders for this of Piazza San Marco already flooded, right, is startling. Not quite as dramatically flooded as what I described, but flooded nevertheless. Um, so I'm glad that a lot of elements, and obviously the criticisms of the co-opting and flattening of culture, the flattening, like the impacts of things like artificial intelligence, the techno feudalistic, techno fascistic stuff, with the sphere and everything, and the fact that we live in a time where like polymarket exists, like everything's gambling. Do you know what I mean? Is all things I tried to weave into there without it being too much. And we'd find what we find, we don't find what we don't. It feels really nice to have elements of that have hit so much for you, Eli, in doing it. It made the prep feel worth it. I'll tell you what.
Oh,
And the dude, by the way, at the top, because I can say all this stuff now, Galileo Galilei. Because if you don't know, Galileo Galilei first looked through a telescope, that motherfucker, at the unknown that looked back at his ass in our, shit, up at the top of the Campanile. So,
got it.
that was...
I thought for almost until the end that the twist, or that they were the audience actively watching that video.
Mhm.
I thought that was the core twist, that they were like our viewers consuming our content and our stories. And that like our characters were realizing that they were these like two-dimensional beings that only exist to tell these stories, and that nothing outside of that existed, and that nothing that didn't serve these stories they were meant to tell existed. And that's what I thought the twist was, and then it wasn't, and I had to like recover. There's probably a moment on screen where I came to the realization like, oh, he's going an entirely different direction with this. Hold on, I need to like recalibrate my everything.
No, but hey, everything that you were doing and the leaning into stories was so helpful, because a lot of what came in interested in was the commodification, flattening, and extraction of self through culture and story, right? So everything that you were saying, and everything you were saying even about us being consumed and about the audience potentially being like, that isn't what I intended, but I think it's a perfectly valid way to have experienced a part of this, because they were functioning as an audience. And honestly, who's to say, even myself, I'm nobody to say whether that authentically represents our audience watching this right now or not. That was your lived experience playing the game. I would say you weren't wrong. Just because I didn't think of it doesn't mean you were wrong,
Yeah,
right?
well, because
Like,
it was like you were saying that they want our stories. That was one of the truths that you said pretty early on. And then you sent me this fucking like telescope where it's like, oh, clearly I'm looking through the screen. This telescope lets me see through the screen to the like all watching eye that is representation symbolic of our audience and their all watching eyes. And like,
and
it's
then I
like,
put
ah,
your
this all makes sense.
character's
It's all coming together like galaxy brain. Like,
and then I put your character's family behind basically a TV screen.
mm-hmm.
And I had them watching TV. I gave you a lot of stuff that could easily like make you think that. I really think it's valid. And here's one of the things that I'm really, it's not a cop out. Like, emergent storytelling, part of what I love about this storytelling medium is that we can accomplish more together than any of us can individually. So the fact that you put that together, something that maybe was informing some subconscious part of what I was doing, but was not the overt, deliberate, like primary thing, right? There was an audience, but it wasn't necessarily our audience, etc. That enriches this in a way that I could never have done if I just like wrote a short story about this. Do you know what I mean? Because that wasn't where I went, but that was where you went. And I really mean it when I say like it is equally valid. What you just said was true about that story, feels as true to me right now while we're talking about it as anything that I intended, right? Because I left them amorphous enough, they're powerful enough, right, to have changed things around. But you know what? From a story perspective, it goes back a little bit to what we were talking about before about GMs and my own like antipathy toward trying to put in rules against like, oh, but what if a player gets too powerful? GMs are omnipotent, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can do anything at any time. Oh, you think you're really strong players? Well, now you're all dead. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing stopping us but our own good sense, maybe, for the most part. I love that this game, even though it has a GM, leaves enough co-authorial room by design that you all make so much about this world true that I also adhere to from my side of the table, regardless. So for whatever it's worth, I really like your idea. I want it to be part of what's true. So for me, now it's true. Now that's part of it. You know what I mean? Like that's,
Yeah.
I think that's stuff.
So the thing I really enjoyed that was different, it also goes to show how important table composition is, because I was able to be more free and in character this time around than the first time. And part of that was it was for a con. It was like people were watching. I was aware of a time limit, blah 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 blah. But there was also like there were people at the table who like there was somebody who I'd never played with before, and Abby's great, but like I don't know her.
Right.
I like so it's like, okay, how do I get into that? And it's like what kind of story do we want to tell? Like, do we want this to be a more traditional 10 candles? So I go into producer mode of like, oh, what can I do to make this game interesting for an audience and to do a solid for Danny? Like, what can I like? So what's the shell game that I can be playing? Whereas here, there's less of us, so we all have time to have our spotlights. But I also know that I am in very safe hands with you three. Like, I don't have to worry about anybody else's problems. Like, y'all are brilliant performers and storytellers, and I can just be in my lane and not have to worry about anything else, which is great because I really was excited to play somebody helpless. Because I mean, not to get with this is we're very serious people. Sometimes we do bits. I did say the Discord, get the Discord. We drama hard, we bit harder, but like that's like the reality is that right now in the world I feel unbelievably helpless, which is something I'm not used to. I'm 6'1" and not a small person. I have never felt helpless in my life. And now it's like, who knows? Who the fuck knows? So being able to embody that in Maluna, where and it's kind of, I was just thinking about this. Maluna is kind of a path that Ida from Hallie's Children could have gone. Like, Maluna is an uneducated, poor, working class young girl. Ida was the daughter of a fisherman. Was if a fucking star hadn't fallen from the sky and weird bug aliens hadn't come to change her life, she would have died young as a female instead of what they became. So like it's interesting to see how many facets of this there are. And like I don't tend, well, we got Inferno, so I'm kind of stuck in the Catholic thing right now, but like religion, especially for the masses, has been such a matter of control. And like think of even now, but like think of the fact that she had an urge to drink chlorinated Las Vegas canal water.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought, oh, that impulse is God, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. Like, there was not a thought. There was no problem solving in that, because it was like, oh, that's God. Here we go. Like, which is unfortunately still something that happens today. So, but it's something that I really loved about this game of 10 Candles is how important it is to play with people that you absolutely trust, to not only be protective of your own feelings, but to like play it. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to play a game and feel something. So like, and the fact that I don't tend to cry at tables because I'm too in my own head. We all cried. Like, watching Danny do beautiful single silent tears and then listening to Bastion push through and power through was it was tough, but it was perfect. It was beautiful. So yeah, night and day difference of games. Not bad. Both of them were very good, but like I definitely prefer this a little bit more intimate.
Yeah, the other one was much more traditional, right?
Yeah.
Had like spooky spooks coming right at people,
Yeah.
lots of harm, like interpersonal harm.
I
Uh,
got beat. I got bitten. I got turned into a weird them zombie. It's fine. Yeah,
yeah,
like it
yeah.
was great.
Not a bunch of big like metatextual creepy creep, right? Like I kind of can't do things without wanting to hit on ideas like that
Yeah.
because it's what I find interesting. But grounded in a different way. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that I prefer also to this is party comp, right? Which was the big
Yeah.
takeaway that you all gave me then, and I took to heart. I think you were right. It's a lot more fun to be able to spotlight each of you more.
Yeah.
Spend more time with each of you.
I think this is a greit thing to, unless does anybody else have any 10 Candles comments, because we had a great question from M about 10 Candles.
The only thing I want to just reemphasize quickly is even with people who you feel a lot of safety with at the table, right? I've played 10 Candles on the player side with people I've never met before. And you can find ways to have safety at the table in that kind of situation with overt communication, clear boundaries, considerateness, remembering that like the people at the table with you matter more than anything else that's going on in the story at the moment. So if somebody starts to feel unsafe or it starts to feel like too much, pivot, find a way to do something else. Do you know what I mean? It's okay. The story will be fine. And it's more important that the people be fine. But yeah, we went in some tough directions. As I mentioned, I was self-consciously, deliberately walking in, planning for us to deal with some thematically difficult things, particularly given what we're all living through and have recently lived through. So thank you for trusting me with that and for leaping, all of you, in the direction of that. I hope I did okay in terms of keeping us all safe. Didn't push too hard on things that felt like too much. That on balance, it felt cathartic and interesting. I'm really proud, honestly, of the work that we did together in this from a story perspective. And a lot of that has to do with the vulnerability, creativity, openness, and braveness with which all of you dove into everything. So thank you for that.
Lightning round question from M, which is very important, which is if you had to take a character from one of the other games and play them in 10 Candles, who would it be and how would they do?
We'd all play Zeke.
100%. We are all of Felstadar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you guys, I think our retinue, we were in it.
We were.
The
maybe
queen was them.
Maybe that's the way we can resolve what we didn't get to do in this. We can do another 10 Candles where we play as this and those characters, and then we see how we die in the end when the queen is ambushed, is attacked.
Maybe the real them was the friends we made along the way.
There
Honestly,
we go.
And they're going to kill us inevitably.
Well, I'll tell you what. I played a game of 10 Candles in Venice to prep for this with my home table, and they all killed each other. They never met them. Like them whispered to them a little bit, but they were so like fucking in their own shit that they all just like turned on each other and they all fucking died off that. It was great. It was very fun. Very fun.
Okay, I would be Billy Mochaccino, who's gone back to Italy to have his roots, and he just fully dilutes himself in the canal. He's gone.
He's just shot in Venice. Billy Mochaccino with a flooding Piazza San Marco is something I want to see now. That's very.
I was thinking Polt as well, because there's something like really tragic Roger Rabbit style, like with the acid in Roger Rabbit of like melting these tunes that are supposed to be like live forever and be indestructible. There's real tragedy there.
Tremendous pathos. Plus, anytime I could see you play any more Polt, I definitely want that.
I want to,
Polt is available for hire. Anyone looking for actual play characters?
Monologuing in 10 Candles.
He has one successful case under his belt now, so that's exciting.
One successful case. Well, I mean, not according to the laundromat that I owe money to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on my side from a character perspective. I don't know if any specific characters. The one that I won't
Gertrude would be so sad, though.
Gertrude would be
We can't.
terrible. I don't think I could do it to her. I don't think I have the heart
No.
to put her in there.
No.
Although I will say that a 10 Candles Yazibas mashup is probably pretty strong, right? Like taking those pre-gen character concepts that do live in this twee world and then putting them in the harshest possible is a pretty fun, like I like that kind of contrast. So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Look at that. You keep coming up with better answers than me. My answer is Gertrude, everybody. Sarah, is it Zeke for you, or is there another answer?
These things are true. It is dark, and Plasma Girl is the coolest.
Hey, kid.
Hey kid in that environment would, even though you're not
Win.
supposed to do this, would canonically just beat them. Like them,
Yeah.
they would
Beat
not
them.
stand a chance.
Hey Kid is them, actually. Sarah would be DMing this.
That's the only way.
It's the same scenario. It's just the three of us die at the end.
Yeah.
Because Hey Kid explodes.
Hey kid
Yeah.
explodes, and it's just all the cartoonishness. You thought that was great. No, it becomes incredibly visceral and gory and grounded.
Gazebas burns down. It's awful.
100%. That's funny.
Ridiculous.
Did we want to land on that? Was there any other question that we wanted to close it out with?
I think that's a great way to close out
Cool.
10 Candles. I think we can talk about what's next. Like,
Well,
I think that's a great thing to but yeah, Bastion, go ahead.
There's one other audience question that I think would be fun to answer to end
Oh, yes.
our discussion of the 5 systems before announcements and whatnot.
Yes.
Which is, what character would you most want to see or play again?
Yes.
Is that different from your who would you play in 10 Candles?
It could be.
So which character do you want to kill?
So I think to some degree we answered part of it because Stew Pot, right? Like we want to play
Yes.
with
Right.
Stew Pot characters.
Yeah, that'd be the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Indra.
I keep mentioning
Indra
this.
for me.
Yeah, outside of Stew Pot, I want to play those Stew Pot characters. I really wish I knew more about the person I played in this, right?
Yeah.
Like I really deeply, I think it's because I felt cut off by how early the card came out. But that's my most honest answer is like I have the most unfinished business with that character, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy I feel that way about Indra. Like it's this tense, like poisoned, like this person who is very anxious. I want to see them heal
Mhm.
because I feel like they've earned it, and I want to heal them. So yeah,
And there's something really beautiful about modeling what a world looks like after the horrible shits end. Because you know what they do, right? Everybody at home, guess what? All the horrible shit, it ends. All the horrible people, they're going to fucking die. And eventually, they're going to die. They're going to be forgotten. No one will remember their name, right? To live in a world, even if only in story for now, where we get to build community and we get to live in accordance with how we think the world should be, to whatever extent that's possible, is, I think, a radical act of storytelling. And I want to dig into Stew Pot and more systems like it, because I think there is something dangerous and important and meaningful to the degree that story can be, right? About modeling those ways of living and modeling that kind of healing and that way of being there with each other and for each other and building new things together. So I love that, Eli. And I co-sign.
I was tied between Connell and Poltz, but then I had this vision of us doing a prequel game to Stew Pot where we all played our characters and we had a 5th person who played the artificer whose dream was always to open a tavern, who tragically passed away in our last fight against the big bad, and that's the reason we are all banding together to start this tavern.
I love that.
Right, and that he's clearly his thing was making these little dexterous mechanical pigs, right? That was his whole shtick.
I love that. That's so
Uh,
awesome.
and I went on this journey there mentally for a moment, and so now that's what I'd come back to. That's
I
what I
mean,
wanna do.
definitely. I will say there's a part of me that also thought you were going to say that the Artificer could be like the Poltergeist and like show up as
They were the same character.
on the place and then just monologue externally all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's very fun too. Yeah, I love that. Honestly, now I really want to do that. Now my mind is just going like, do we do D&D or do we do like draw steel? Do we do Daggerheart? Do we put a little mustard on it? Do we find a little like what do we want to do here mechanically?
Yeah.
Sarah.
No, I'm still stuck on what kind of games we would use. I've got Fantasy Age in my wish list. That's pretty good, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, it's a hard choice. I mean, other than Zeke, Zeke is the obvious winner there. I want to enjoy more of revealing his inner life and his silly bits. But other than that, I think I'm with you actually, Danny. For the Queen, it just felt like we just got to the juicy bits, you know, and I want the juicy bits.
We're also going to put that on a shirt. Slut for improv. I want the juicy bits.
I want the juicy bits.
I want the juicy bits.
You can purchase them all in the Bonk Bank.
In the Bonk Bank.
In the Discord.
I have a Cricut. I can make vinyl shirts. We can make this happen.
I love it.
Awesome.
Tell
we'll
us
raffle them off during Pride. We're gonna keep.
Yes. It's pretty beautiful.
Yes.
Can I ask just if we could consider a cuck chair as well for Pride? But the cuck chair should be a lifeguard chair.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I'm being redundant because I'm saying the same thing. Right? It's like when people say chai tea.
I also have a 3D printer. I can 3D print lifeguard chairs with a bed in front of them.
Fantastic.
Get the Discord, guys.
Yeah, you'll understand that lore. If you don't understand that Streaming Rainbow lore, come into the Discord.
Come into the Discord.
We will explain everything. Yes.
It's fun. We have cuck chairs.
We do because we believe in pool safety. That's why.
Yes, we do.
All right, so I think that rounds it out, and we get into, I guess, the transition into the actual announcements, which is what is next. What I can say, which we've talked about a little bit already, so I'll be very brief. What I can say about this format is I find I like it a lot. I think it has a lot to offer. I think you need to have the right people at the table, and they need to be signing up for something that isn't easy, right? None of this is ever easy. This is only probably going to get more complicated from here in the sense of like some of the systems that we mix together might be more complex, right? On my end, I'm already thinking about the kind of work that I can do on my side to make it as not burdensome as possible on the players. But I'm really excited for that. And also longer form stuff, right? Like obviously continuing to perform as a player in the longer form stuff, but in GM'd games or GM inclusive games, even partially, in running some longer stuff, right? I've got some ideas there, and I'm really, really stoked for that. And using this for good in whatever ways we can, sometimes just in the types of stories that we choose to tell and folks that we invite to the table. Sometimes that plus what we're doing, what we're in the middle of doing right now, raising money for meaningful causes that we care a lot about, that help people out, that we want to live in community and solidarity with, right? So,
exactly. Yeah, and we've pulled an Uno reverse, and Danny is now trapped in our proverbial basement. So there's going to be a lot more of Danny R Mendoza for forever. We're never letting him go.
Yeah, if you get to the end of this video, you get to find out first, before anyone else, before the announcement that's going to go out probably right after this. As a little treat for those of you stuck around for the past couple hours, that Danny is coming on board as our new founder. We have all absolutely treasured and enjoyed our time with him. He brings a fresh, exciting energy to the crew that I really enjoy, and the rest of the crew do as well. So happy to have him on board. He doesn't know what he signed up for.
He doesn't. He
I
just got
it's
you
true.
just got into the back chat.
I
It's
know
bad.
but I'm also a lot, y'all. So it's cool. Like it's fine. We'll find our way through with love and talent, and it's
Right.
gonna be.
We're trying to optimize the correct classes for our founders group
Exactly.
to have the best
No, I mean,
hobby experience.
I mean, like, listen, we joke, but kinda.
Danny brings a special, actually any experience with marketing that's really going to help the channel.
Yeah,
Oh, talking to people, excellent.
exactly. The face of the party, right?
I got this to play games. Hold on, that's
Wait a minute. So yeah, so we're very excited, as Bastion said, to listen. We were all talking about it, and I mean, he's basically already part of the team. So do we want to just like make it for reals? For reals? All right, cool. So that's amazing. We're very excited. And yes, next week, future Eli would have told you more at the top of this thing at the time of recording. We're pinning stuff down. So, but there will be a live stream on Friday raising money for Raices, which is an amazing cause. Please share it if you can't afford, if you can't do monetary. Listen, I get it. Like we've all been trying our best. Times are hard, so if you can't give in a monetary way, share with your audiences, share with your friends, share with people who don't watch AP and just want to do something good for the world. They can get a few laughs or have an amazing time watching some amazing performers and do something good for a very, very worthy cause. So
and it's a little
yes.
bit like a dunk tank, right? Like if they don't watch AP, but they're like, you could give some money, it'll go to a great cause, and you're going to make this person have a much harder time in a really funny way. I think a lot of people will go for that, right? Like I think that's popular as an idea.
Yeah. It's a new way for some people to give back. And yeah, so that is what's up with our charity streams. Next Tuesday, we will have part 1 of the return of a Fathom story, Lux as the ferryman, playing Sunken, which again, you will see Danny. You cannot get rid of Danny. Danny is here now.
It's too much. I'm too much. It's fine. I'm really excited for Sunken. I've never gotten to play Fathoms before. Super stoked about the system. It looks really cool. And yeah, it's a great cast. Like there's a ton of awesome people in there that the Lux has brought together. Really excited. It's going to be fun. And it's a 2-parter. Yeah. That's great.
Yes. So the next 2 Tuesdays, and they will be live streamed. So you can actually join in and watch and interact while everyone's playing. And yeah, again, it's a really, really great time for Lux to show off. David and Lux have been working on this Fathom system for 2 years, a year and a half. I mean, like it's been a hot second, and it has just gotten better with every playtest they've done. So I'm very excited for everyone to get to see that and experience it. So that's the next 2 Tuesdays. And then starting in March, we get to announce that we are going to be the first AP to show off Rocket Club by M, who is amazing. Get in the Discord and see all the amazing shit that they do. They just throw off really funny game ideas out of nowhere, and it's always good. Like
and then see them through though, and then they actually deliver on the system, and it's great. Also, M brought me to Streaming Rainbow originally. Like M,
we have M to thank. We have M to thank for bringing Danny to us. But so you will see the Hallie's gang all playing in Rocket Club. So it's going to be myself, Sarah, Cam, David, and Courtney playing a bunch of middle school Rocket Club enthusiasts, just trying to deal with puberty and life. And open play testing will be open by then. So we will have links to where you can do that. Please get in the Discord and tell M your playtesting experience. And then I hope you guys enjoy this really, really fun, campy game, because it was such a joy and it's such a cool system to play with. And then Kanto 5 of Inferno comes back on February 20th. A new level of hell, new cast. So stay tuned for that. Sarah and Bastion, I think that's all the upcoming things for us, but is there anything else that you've got going on besides getting in the Discord?
Just the Discord.
That's the Discord.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Beautiful.
I've got some exciting 3D printing I'm going to do. Like some pretty exciting stuff that's not applicable at all.
Just tell us about your life, Bastion. How you been?
So really bad. My partners have not been doing hot lately.
Oh no.
Hey guys, really important. Take care of each other. Like,
Yeah.
I'm blessed to have these amazing people in my life. You guys keep me sane and happy when there's every reason to not.
When skies are gray.
Yeah. So we love you guys. We love you. We thank you so much for watching us. Thank you for enjoying this experience with us. Like, this experiment has been beautiful, and I want to always play this forever. Danny, you can invite other people to the table. I promise I will.
I mean, yes, but also it's hard, right? Like, I want to invite other people, but I want to keep doing it with you all. So I kind of want to do both. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Welcome to Inferno. Welcome to Inferno. That's how it is for me all the time. But with that, I think this is how we say goodbye to the takeover for now. Danny won't be taking over anymore because he is now one of us. So it'll just be the Danny show.
It's an internal takeover.
Yes. Much more insidious.
It's worked. He took over, guys. He's here, and he's now.
He independently reached out or was reached out to by all of the founders to star in a game at the same time.
Yeah. We were like, hey, you're great. I literally was sitting on a couch in Hawaii watching Be Gay Do Crime, and I got into the DMs like, hey, you want to be in Inferno? Hey,
I was so happy when you reached out because I had looked at Inferno. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to do. I wonder if they'd consider me for it. And then you reached out.
I did.
Consider yourself considered.
Thank you.
Hey, so guys,
Consider
the moral of the story is get in the Discord and come chat with us, because if you rock and are awesome and just are cool, we'll play. We like to play games
too. Like, if any of you aren't sure you want to do AP, right, but you might want to play with a cool community, we play games in there. We like, it's these fine folks in here are the ones who told me that when they founded this originally, like, it's about community first, right?
Mm-hmm. It's about family.
Yeah, exactly. Dom Toretto. Yeah. You know, I have games for that, actually. There's like a Lasers and Feelings hack that we could do that's Fast and Furious.
Hey guys, we'll be here for hours. Get in the Discord and hear about all the games we can play. We love you guys very much. We will see you later.
Ta-ta.
Good night, guys.